Nunsploitation is a subgenre of exploitation film which had its peak in Europe in the 1970s. These films typically involve Christian nuns living in convents during the Middle Ages. The main conflict of the story is usually of a religious or sexual nature, such as religious oppression or sexual suppression due to living in celibacy. The Inquisition is another common theme. These films, although often seen as pure exploitation films, often contain criticism against religion in general and the Catholic Church in particular.
Yes, y'all, it's going down right now. Episode 164 of the 22 Shots of Moods and Horror podcast is coming at you live. I am your host, MC Belgian White, aka Moods. Yeah. And of course, I have my head-roll podmate by my side tonight, the man who is convinced that Jeremy is trying to fuck us in the box office brawl competition by ignoring films that need to be predicted on the show, the Mexican himself, JP.
Yeah. Jeremy's cheap with that.
And finally, we have the man who will order Jack in the Box and send me pics of his tasty sourdough jacks just to rub it in my face because he knows I can't get one. The Sacktown Salty Balls bitch. Mike, the Mouth Merriman. What's going on, guys?
I know I'm just a guest tonight, but if we could hurry it up, I got a Nelly concert to go to.
Oh, God.
Dude, that's
okay,
so
Dan Chase.
That is the funniest shit ever, man. I was like, wow, that better be fucking Nelly Furtado, because at least that's half cool.
Unfortunately,
I wonder if they were handing out Band-Aids at the door. Everybody
you
put
get a Band-Aid. You get a Band-Aid. You get a Band-Aid.
But that is so true, though, right? Jeremy, I think, is trying to avoid the box office brawl because the situation is that he's a little bit ahead right now and he doesn't want either one of us to catch up. So he's playing this game where he's like, I didn't know about this movie and fuck, this movie doesn't fit the criteria bullshit. And it's like, what the fuck?
But here's the thing, right? Jeremy, at the beginning of the year, made a spreadsheet and added like every movie that was true. Coming out. And it was like stuff like Terminator, which is kind of there, and then stuff like even like Star Wars and like there was a ton of stuff on there that definitely wasn't horror. And then I'm like, okay, let's do this thriller, and he's like, that's not horror. I'm like, dude, you had fucking Rambo on there, man. I was like, you added all this stuff at the beginning of the year when the scores were even, but like now you don't want to do anything because you don't want a chance of anybody to catch up. It's like, just stick to the rules you started with.
Hey, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. He's not on the show. Let's just keep talking shit about him. Yeah. Jeremy was supposed to be on the show tonight, but he ultimately had to work late, so he is not here tonight. We already had Mike coming on the show, so it's a trio. Still, so that worked out. But yeah, no, the box office brawl, I think he kind of fucked us a little bit because now we're getting close to November. There's not that many box office brawls. I think
there's like 7 or 8 films left in the year that will count, and I'm down by 5 points.
This is how cheap that fucking Jew is, man. Like, seriously. I mean,
and
this
we
is
missed
all
a
about...
ton. We missed 6 or 7 films during the break because he wouldn't answer me in the chat with his picks.
Yeah, because that's what he was doing. He was trying to fuck us over. And, I mean...
You gotta lead it.
He's such a cheap bastard. This whole competition is about one fucking Blu-ray. One.
He takes it
like,
so seriously.
He's taking it so to the point where he's cheating in a very maniacal way. You know, he's just like not answering. Oh, I didn't know about that. I was busy fucking working 15 fucking hours.
Dude, those Neil memes are the best. The Crying Freeman memes.
Oh man, those are
where
so
he
good.
quotes Jeremy.
I like
anyway,
how
I have an idea for
talking,
next season, next year, January. A little bit of rule changes for box office brawl, which I think will help the flow of things and make it.
How about you organize it? You take care of it, so then we can actually do it weekly.
Yeah,
that's my biggest.
We'll talk about those at the beginning of the year, but
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mikey, man, back on the show. What's going on, you salty balls, bitch? And stop fucking rubbing those sourdough jacks in my fucking face, dude. Every time I see a picture of Jack in the Box, I seriously just want to border jump right now and kick the shit out of you.
Fuck,
and
man,
eat it in front of you in your garage, like where you're sitting right now.
That's what's coming next. If once the pics don't get it done anymore, I'm like, I need to start sending him videos of like an unwrapping.
Dude, I could just see you, man, putting a fucking Jack in the Box taco in the middle of a sourdough jack and just getting all stupid with your eats, and you're like, fuck you, man. Taste those.
Just throw some jalapeno poppers in the middle.
I've never been able to understand why Jack in the Boxes have never came north. It sucks. It's like.
I don't think they came east either.
Yeah, I don't even think they're all over.
I always used to think that Jack in the Box was a bigger franchise, but then I learned that there's not really, west of like Vegas kind of thing, and I'm like, damn, that's really crazy, because those commercials, man, they do some, big budget ass commercials and shit. I'm like, this is fucking crazy. It's just crazy.
They're pretty funny, and the fact that they're open 24 hours a day, you would think that would give them easy access to just everywhere in the country.
True. I personally think that Jack in the Box is one of those like really, really pricey franchises that just nobody wants to get into. So, I mean, if you drive around, you go into any small town, there's always a Subway, there's always a Dairy Queen and shit like that, because they're the cheapest franchises to own.
Actually, no, they're not. Jeremy says he doesn't have any Dairy Queens.
Well, it's probably a Chicago thing, because they're the headquarters for McDonald's and Burger King, so they probably don't put those competition there, right? I'm serious, they probably don't. But actually, Dairy Queen is one of the cheaper ones, and Subway is like really cheap. It used to be dirt cheap, so.
Can't stand Subway, dude.
Me either, man. I can't stand it.
Give me Jimmy John's all day.
Oh, fucking hate Subway. I miss like the Mr. Subs and shit. Those were really good. I don't know if they were down in the States or not, but those were like way fucking better. They were just they were like a good version of Subway. Do you have Beach Hut Deli up there? Or I don't know if that's just California or what, but it's a fucking great yeah, I've heard people talking about it. No, I've never seen one. Actually, Mike, you were asking me about Harvey's the other day, and I believe it's just a Canadian franchise, but I was actually watching a Furious Pete video today, which he's finally making videos.
Did you say Hardee's?
Harvey's.
Oh, Harvey's.
Yeah, Harvey's. And it's a burger joint, but you can make them your way. That's their motto shit. So you order a burger and then you can put all your toppings and sauces and everything the way you want it. So it's kind of a cool idea, but of course they've jumped into the Beyond Meat burgers and stuff too. So he, I think he got promoted through Harvey's or something to do the video, but then he went and grabbed like a bunch of A&W. You could tell he's like, I got another 10 from this company, and he wouldn't say the name, but you can tell A&W burgers just by the buns. So dude, he ate all these burgers, and I was like, hey, these things are actually really good. I'm like, I was hoping, because the wife actually went to A&W tonight, and I was like, did you get one of those Beyond Burgers? I just wanted to have a bite. I'm really on a harsh diet right now, but I just wanted to try what it tastes like. She didn't get one. I was kind of pissed off.
So what's you guys' favorite fast food then? Like top 3 or something.
One that I could eat regularly. I mean, honestly, dude, I love In-N-Out Burger. It's like one of my favorite places to eat, but of course we don't have them in Canada.
That out here.
I know.
Yeah, we don't have it.
They're like as far as Vegas, and they're west. It's like a West Coast thing.
Yeah.
And
I think there's some in Arizona, but it's pretty much west.
Yeah, In-N-Outs I think they're one of the more rare ones, to be honest. But on a regular fast food joint that I can actually eat all the time I love Wendy's, man. That's
Wendy's is definitely a solid pick.
Speaking of that, Wendy's I was watching, because I watch a shitload of competitive eating videos, and I'm obsessed with eating videos. It's so weird.
Yeah, but anyways, it's funny. Me, him, and Jeremy watch those, and we never I know we talked about them eventually, but we all watched them before we talked about them.
I know, it's so weird. But I was watching that Molly chick, and she's like the craziest eater in the world, man. She's like fucking 100 pounds soaking wet. She's got the craziest appetite. It's nuts. Anyways, I
like watching those while I'm eating.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I watch those things to torture myself, because like I said, I can't really eat any of that food right now, so I'm just like, so it's even more entertaining to me. But anyways, I like to torture the shit out of myself. Anyways, I was watching her at Wendy's, and she was eating the Wendy's breakfast. So apparently Wendy's does fucking breakfast now. That's crazy.
Yeah, they do.
I fucking hate breakfast, so I don't care. It's just another.
That's
every
right.
Fucking fast food place out here does breakfast now. Taco Bell does fucking.
I've never been able.
Taco Bell's my favorite by far.
Yeah, see, Taco Bell. I can't stand Taco Bell. It fucking hates me too, man. It's just it doesn't go in great, and it comes out worse. But you know what is really bizarre to me is that Subway has breakfast, and I'm like, they don't have grills or nothing, so everything actually is microwaved. I'm like, dude, microwaved omelets, yummy.
Subway's a damn joke, dude. I really do not like Subway.
No, that's one place. Even when I was eating that shit, I never went to Subway ever.
I mean, when we first got one around us, it was pretty fresh. Like I'm talking like 15 years ago or something. But yeah, man. I mean, it's just not. I don't like it at all. I'll go every once in a while.
It's trash. I mean, there's a reason it's so cheap. You can tell because as soon as you go to like a different sub shop, you're like, oh, that's why Subway costs that much because it's just not good.
I don't know where they get their veggies and shit from, but they're the most tasteless fucking veggies ever. It's the craziest
That's because they're
thing.
frozen, bro. They're not fresh. They freeze them and then they unthaw them.
It's just horrible, man. Horrible. Well, that might be the longest conversation about fast food we've ever had.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting.
Well, if you're asking what my top one was, it might be Jack in the Box just because I have so much different stuff, and
we don't have that.
They're always open, and it's like they always have new shit constantly. Like you might plan to get one thing from there, and then you pull up and they just have all these advertisements all over their windows, and you're like, oh shit, that looks even better than what I wanted to come here for. So
Jesus, man.
That's up there. I do like Wendy's, and then In-N-Out. Like if I'm in the mood for just like a fast food style burger, I got 2 In-N-Outs like within 2 miles. So I'm like, yep. And I've never been there with the drive-through not hella busy.
Yeah, right.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
You would like think because they're here, people would get tired of it. I like Five Guys. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, Five Guys is really good.
We got a Five Guys much later in the game. Like it was probably maybe like 5-6 years ago. They finally put
that's
one
about
like,
when
in
we
my
got
neighborhood.
ours too. Yeah.
I think that's Beer Meats Food's favorite fucking fast food joint too. They don't have them in the UK. You ever watch him before?
What's it called?
I don't think so.
Beer Meats Food. He's like JP size, man. He's like 5'6", 5'7", tiny. Like he's, obviously he works out a lot and shit. He's super built, not like super built, but he's got a small frame. But man, he can fucking eat, dude. He's the #1 male competitive eater in the UK. Anyways, he loves when he comes over to America, he just fucking downs that shit. It's like crazy. But I just find it fun. He's from the UK, but he's actually pretty entertaining. He's one of the competitive eaters actually that has a good personality. That's one thing about competitive eater videos. A lot of the people don't have great personalities. They're just like, hey, look how much I can fucking eat, kind of thing. And then, but this guy, he's pretty funny, man. He does commentary on like all his videos, and it's pretty entertaining. So for the people out there that tuned in to listen to some horror talk, no. Go check out these competitive eating videos. They're amazing. Like, truly, it's fucking mind-blowing. Like, Molly Short, she ate 100-patty fucking burger from In-N-Out. It's the world record. It was, I think, 21-pound burger. And if you see what she looks like, it's fucking incredible, dude. 100 pounds soaking wet.
It's all stuck up in her chest and shit because there's no room in her stomach.
It's truly incredible, man. It really is fucking amazing. JP, do we have any housekeeping shit that we gotta discuss or not?
I don't think so, honestly. I don't think so.
I know we discussed upcoming shows recently. We also discussed, I mean, that's probably everything. But I will say again, there's shirts still for sale, so make sure you guys go out and spend your hard-earned money on 22 Shots shirts. I think we didn't sell any recently because people thought we were done. That was the big fucking rumor going around. It's like, oh, 22 Shots is, they're not coming back. And I'm like, guys,
Jeremy.
We took the fucking break. I know, Jeremy. What the fuck is wrong with that guy?
Jeremy was starting the rumor. On his live streams, he would be like, yeah, it just doesn't feel like we're coming back. It's like,
so that's
it just doesn't feel the same when we took this break. It's like, I feel like everybody is kind of not really feeling it right now.
It had nothing to do with podcasting. It's just, the 2019 year just needs to fuck right off. We just need to get through this shit, and we'll move on to the 2020s. Maybe they'll be radical. That's the line from Dazed and Confused. Anyway,
it's true. That is a line from Dazed and Confused.
Yeah, that's right. She's talking about the 80s.
Great movie.
But anyways, okay. Well, I guess we'll just move on then, and we'll get into some news.
We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Yeah. Honestly, not that much news, dude. Not that much. So, first up, we have a little bit of news that the homie Sam Raimi is returning to horror to direct a new film. It is untitled at the moment. It's for Columbia Pictures, and it is penned by Damian Shannon and Mark Swift, who wrote Freddy vs. Jason as well as the Friday the 13th remake.
Oh my god, this movie's gonna suck shit. Those scripts are horrible.
What? Hold on.
Yes. Horrible.
What? Okay, in what way is Freddy vs. Jason's script horrible?
Really? I don't know. The whole movie is just a fucking mess.
In
Jason
what way? What
is
name?
not good now.
What's one mess quality? Like one thing that's a mess about it.
Well, for starters, the end of the movie is bullshit.
What do you mean? Jason killed Freddy, as it should be.
No, it should be Freddy killing Jason. The whole script is fucking bullshit right there.
No, because they pulled him out of the dream. Freddy's weak out of the dream, so.
I'm just saying. That's bullshit.
I mean, Jason is just the better killer. He's more effective. So I mean,
I don't think so. I think that honestly, dude, the script itself is pretty tropey. It's pretty standard stuff. There's not really anything in that movie.
Actually not. I'll defend Freddy vs. Jason until the day that I die.
I also haven't watched it in a while either.
Super interesting. The only problem with it is it doesn't make sense how Freddy could inhabit Jason's dreams and wake him back up as the mother.
Well, that's always been the question, because Jason apparently wouldn't that kind of make him human if he's dreaming and shit like that? So,
well, Jason isn't. No, because no, you don't. You could be undead. He was resting,
and having dreams. You could be undead and having dreams. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, Freddy does. He's
like an entity. He's like an entity. It's different. That's what his thing is.
Well, Jason has been brought back to life, and he's like zombified. It's but the point is like maybe maybe people in in eternal slumber type thing are easy to access their dreams. I don't know. They didn't explain it. That's the only problem I had. But like,
yeah, you're right. They
honestly,
don't.
It's kind of a really cool, interesting way that they brought those two together. Like, nobody believes in Freddy anymore. That's where it goes back to the first Elm Street, where Nancy walks away from him. If people don't believe or fear him, then he has no power. So everybody forgot. The town covered it up. They gave everybody who did know about it, lock them up, give them hypnosil. I thought it was very interesting. Like, because how would you bring them together? I thought about it for years, and I'm just like, I have no idea. And I thought that plot worked really well.
I don't know. I never really thought about how I would do it, but it's been a long time since I've seen it all. So I just remember it being kind of messy, with certain things that aren't explained. And I mean, obviously me being a Freddy person too, I'm like, the end of this movie is bullshit.
I would assume another way you could bring them together in the future would be like, all right, they did another one like that. Like if Elm Street kids went to summer camp or something, because then you're like taking their Freddy dreams to Crystal Lake. But I haven't seen it in a while either. I mean, I remember because I saw it in the theater and I liked it okay.
I remember the cast being pretty shitty too. Isn't that one fucking chick
like the cast.
Yeah.
It still kind of felt, because what year did it come out?
They had like popular fucking R&B singers and shit in there. Like,
yeah, because it felt like a
cash
90s
grab cast.
Hangover-ish, like from the style of the 90s, the way they would do slashers. It felt kind of like more in that style.
I don't know, dude. I think that it felt like the first real Elm Street since like part 5 or something.
Even though even though things are not really that explained.
I think they're explained well. Just that one aspect of it is.
Wasn't Jason afraid of water in it too?
But see,
everybody says that, and I hate that. He's not afraid of water. Like if he was like out in the world, like he's in a dream where he's like it's a nightmare. You know what I mean? Freddy's taking the fact that he drowned and playing it in front of him type thing. It's not that he's afraid of water. He's afraid of the nightmare water. You know what I mean? He's afraid in his nightmare.
I mean, is that you just making up your own explanation, or is that really what? Because I just haven't seen it in a while.
The commentary and stuff. I've watched every special feature, every commentary on Freddy vs. Jason. That's what it is. I mean, that's why he morphs back into a child. It's his child fear.
Well, I mean, Toxic Waste made him morph back into a child in one of the movies. So.
Yeah, but that's
crazy, man. I was looking at like the locations. I knew this shit was shot in Vancouver, but it's funny for some of the characters' houses that they shot. They actually have the fucking addresses to the house where they shot on IMDb. That's crazy. You never see that.
I really have always loved Freddy vs. Jason. I think it's one of the coolest movies in horror history.
One of the coolest movies in horror history. Holy shit, dude.
100%.
The horror history of that year?
Of period. I think it's one of the coolest movies ever done. Period.
I mean, I would say for fan service wise, maybe.
I think the coolest thing about the movie
you
is
have Freddy and Jason in the same fucking movie. Like,
also,
yeah, and you also had that for about 3 seconds in Jason Goes to Hell, and that was fucking atrocious.
No, that movie's awesome, dude. You just not watch it. You gotta watch it in a different way.
As a Jason or as a fucking Jason movie, it's not good. No.
Yeah. Well,
I agree with
it's
that.
not.
I think it's still good. I just don't think it's.
But I know this whole argument, like you know, separate yourself, blah blah. But I can't because it's part of the fucking franchise. It's a fucking Jason movie that's not good.
I fucking get. I was like. Here's the thing, dude. Like,
I really don't like the narrative.
9 films in, like, why can't we do some off the rails shit? We're fucking 9 films in here. Let's try something fucking crazy.
I never said that they couldn't, and we've had this argument before. I agree, doing something a little bit different, but the key word here is a little bit, not fucking.
If you want the same movie,
field.
dude, you got 7, 8 other ones to check out.
But like body hopping and shit, though, man, it seems ludicrous to me. And and the thing is, though, for most fans, when they're clicking into a film like that, they want to see Jason, right? We don't really get to see Jason that much, and we get to see one cool ass scene with Jason exploding.
When Jason comes back, he's fucking dope as shit.
A little bit, but I'm saying, the
other 90, a little bit. He jumps through the fucking
95% of that movie is fucking soul hopping and shit, and
he's reborn through Voorhees' vagina.
It's a goddamn, it's a mess.
Listen, it's not a mess. Here's the thing. If you're gonna do a backstory and explain, like, okay, how is this fucking dude so not killable and shit? Like, what are you gonna come up with? Like, I thought it was pretty cool. It was like a pretty cool little mythology that they set up.
It feels like doing that is almost better for like a reboot than like a sequel, though, because like they totally. I mean, I actually don't mind the movie. I think it's pretty decent. Just a bad Friday the 13th movie, but like if I play that line where, like, if you watch it as not a typical Jason movie and you just
if you watch it as not a Friday the 13th movie, it kicks ass. If you watch it as a Friday the 13th movie, I could see why you have problems with it, but I still think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, but honestly, who's just popping on fucking Jason Goes to Hell by itself?
Me.
Yeah, you're weird.
Well, when the unrated cut came out, because I wanted to see
too.
the difference.
Oh fuck that guy, man, in his 1994 list. No Cemetery Man.
He picked Cemetery Man.
I know, but he let this shit happen. You should have convinced motherfuckers that Cemetery Man is one of the best films of the 90s, and it didn't even make a top 10. That's insane talk.
No, it made the top 10. It didn't make the top 2.
Or top whatever. But it's 94. I mean, there's like 4 or 5 really kind of heavy hitters that year, and I'm like, whatever. The rest of the list is whatever. But I was gonna say, man, I think the best thing about Freddy vs. Jason is that my man Dylan's in that movie, Chris Marquette.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So big ups to Dylan, aka Chris Marquette.
That helped get his name out there.
I don't know, man. I always thought the cast in this movie was kind of lame, to be honest, man. Jason Ritter's
it's like lame, like most of the.
It's that era, man. I'm telling you, that era of horror film was really bad for putting in like pop icons and shit like Kelly
But why
Rowland.
is that? It's not like their acting sucked. Like, why is it bad?
Because they're not actors.
Just because they're a pop star?
No, it has nothing to do with them. If they were a decent pop... I mean, Tupac was a fucking star that could act, right?
Yeah, but her acting is no different than anybody else's in the film.
Well, yeah, they all suck. The
thing is, Kelly Rowland wasn't an actor. That was just my point.
Dude, you guys...
Kelly Rowland was not an actress.
I'm so sick of the people... You guys, have you watched any of the Friday the 13th or Elm Street? It's not fucking top-notch acting throughout the entire series.
Dude, I'm not saying... You're missing the point.
Has bad acting.
No, you're missing the point here. I'm not talking about the acting in general. I'm talking about selling a film by putting pop stars into your movie.
See, that didn't matter
that annoys the shit out of me.
I didn't know who the fuck they were when I was a kid.
But everybody knew who Kelly Rowland was, man.
I didn't.
Oh, dude, that's because you think Eminem's the best rapper of all time. You are exempt. You are fucking exempt from music talk, man. I swear to God.
Well, I mean,
dude, Kelly Rowland was a massive fucking star.
Based on album sales, based on lyrical ability. Like, what are we basing the best on?
Nobody gives a shit about fucking albums.
Exactly.
Not lyrical.
Nobody gives a shit about album sales.
But no, I mean,
But I've always had this issue. And you know this. By selling films, by putting in non-actors just because they're pop stars, or the fucking the face of the time. You look back to 2003. The only way it bothers me is if Busta Rhymes. I'm a fucking huge I love Busta Rhymes. I love Leaders in the New School. Yeah, and I like love Busta that shit. Too. But Busta Rhymes in Resurrection is
trash. He's trash. But
garbage,
I'm saying LL Cool J in H2O is awesome. LL Cool J in Deep Blue Sea is awesome.
Yeah, but he's got a little bit of acting snaps though, man. He's no fucking Tupac, but LL can act a little bit. That was kind of, and he'd also done stuff prior to that too. Like he was trying to get into the game. I think a lot of people forget.
Are you mad that Ice Cube's in Boys in the Hood?
No, because not at all, man. Because that was I mean, it only
because you like hip hop and you don't like pop.
No.
Did it take you out of Anaconda?
But honestly, casting Ice Cube in Boys in the Hood, casting Ice Cube but if you know the story behind that, Cube didn't even want to be in. John Singleton came to him and asked him. He wrote the role of Doughboy for Ice Cube. Ice Cube didn't want to do the movie at first, and he's like, "Well, the script is really good. Maybe I can probably play his character."
He actually wrote it for NWA. All of them were supposed to be in there before they fucking.
But anyways, my point is that Cube wasn't trying out for the role and stuff. He came to him. That's a little bit different, It's like when you got people like Kelly Rowland. It's like, oh fuck,
As long as they don't affect the film, I don't care. Put anybody in it.
But honestly, Cube is he's kind of one of those natural actors though, man. He's got some fucking skills, man. I mean, how do you go from doing Boys in the Hood to fucking, very good comedic timing in Friday and shit. And he even wrote that shit with DJ Pooh. So that's pretty good shit. But, going back to Tupac, a lot of people are like, oh, rappers turn in fucking actors. I'm like, it's kind of interesting that people have that conversation sometimes, because Tupac actually, his original goal in life was to be an actor. That he
did theater.
He did theater, and that was his main goal, writing and doing theater and stuff like that. He wanted to pursue that, but the music just, he got popular from that first. But yeah. So I'm just saying, somebody have you seen Kelly Rowland in anything else since? Probably not. She was a face at the time to sell the movie.
I never seen her in anything before.
I know, because she wasn't an actress. That's the whole point of the conversation. She had.
I mean, I never seen her anywhere. Like, I didn't know. I didn't know who she was until way later. And then also, have you seen any some of these fucking?
Well, you've heard of Destiny's Child before. Afterwards? Destiny's Child with Beyonce, Kelly Rowland. Kelly Rowland was the other girl in Destiny's Child. You gotta understand, I was not
JP
that
was
old
like a little kid at that time.
I am not listening to Destiny's Child.
Well, I didn't listen to Destiny's Child either, but I knew who she was because Destiny's Child was a little bit huge.
I didn't know who anybody was when I was that age. I didn't even know actors.
In 2003, you were only about 1 or 2, weren't you? Fuck, I keep forgetting about that.
No, I was. How old was that?
In 2003, 91. You were 12. You were 12.
I was 12. Yeah. I didn't know who the fuck anybody was.
You can thank me later for figuring out your age before you did.
Yeah. But no, I think that when you look at do you know what was fucking Spencer in Ever Again from Elm Street 6? Who cares if he's in anything else?
Clueless.
I know, but I mean,
are you talking about Breckenmeyer?
This isn't what I'm talking about. I'm talking about these guys. But these guys weren't hired on in those movies because they were, they actually, tried out for those films. They tried to get in those films specifically. So that makes sense. They were actors, struggling actors. I mean, everyone probably most likely started in some low budget shit or trash or exploitation. I mean, a lot of people did. We know that, but.
Yeah, they put Usher on the fucking cover of The Faculty, and he didn't do shit.
Well, Spencer, the one,
and see, and that was one of the points I made about The Faculty. When I've talked about it before, I'm like, I mean, Usher's not horrible in the film, but why the fuck? He's there because he's fucking Usher, dude.
Yeah,
right.
It's
Usher walks into the studio
because he's in it for 2 lines.
Exactly. Well, I'm just saying, it's I don't even know how these things come about. It's these producers.
That's what you call.
Well, we need a face.
Casting.
But again, it's exactly, man. It's to sell your shit.
See, here's the thing,
it's misleading
dude.
As fuck.
You guys hated the sticking stars in horror movies But really, it actually had a positive outcome because you actually started getting like actual actors to be in horror movies instead of no names.
But it was never a big thing to me because me, JP. I don't review films. Like when I say, "Oh, the acting was good," it's just an observation. I'm not when I go into watching, old horror films, exploitation films, stuff. I'm not like Jeremy. I don't judge the acting to a point where I'm degrading the rating and stuff on it. Like because when I watch these older films, these are lower budget films. These are the type of films that these type of actors would get. It was just something I always accepted. When you see people getting these roles in film because they're stars, it seems like it's almost going backwards. There's something about having those kind of no-name actors in horror films that is very charming to me. It just has something about it. It adds to the appeal to the film to me too. I'm like Kelly Rowland in a fucking Jason Freddy movie. I'm like, what? I don't know. It doesn't meld well to me. It's just the way my brain operates.
Had some funny lines.
It's just the way my brain operates. It's like I would never want to see Busta Rhymes in a Halloween film. And fuck, that happened.
Yeah, because it was trash. He's fucking horrible and ruined the whole movie.
Yeah. Well,
I wouldn't say ruined the movie.
Well, the script is pretty
shitty.
No,
he ruined the movie. Like it was bad, but he ruined it. Like it's unwatchable.
That script is like retarded.
It's so stupid.
Like somebody literally wrote that at the
movie was ruined in the first scene.
Somebody wrote that script at the back of the short bus for sure.
No, the first scene's good. What are you talking about? No. First scene of Resurrection? It's the best part of the movie.
Yeah, because Rambo Laurie fucking
the mental hospital
before she fucking became Rambo Laurie. So that was good.
Yeah. So anyway, the plot is described as Misery meets Castaway.
What the hell are we talking about?
Sam Raimi's new horror movie.
Oh, Jesus. What is it called?
It doesn't have a name yet.
Oh.
Misery meets Castaway?
Misery
yeah,
meets
they're saying
Castaway.
That's how it's being described.
So
Okay.
someone gets trapped on an island and meets Annie Wilkes?
Probably.
So, what? So
somebody's
ankles are getting broke with sledgehammers while playing with a volleyball?
So Misery meets Misery, just not in the snowy countryside.
What? Misery meets Castaway? That is the most fucked up mashup of films ever. Kind of strange.
Tom Hanks.
Although I like those kind of... Yeah, I kind of like those, islands, kind of loner films. I like that shit.
Yeah.
They feel scary to me, man. I wouldn't want to be on a fucking deserted island by myself. Think about that for a minute.
No.
That would actually be kind of scary because you don't know what the fuck's out there. I could probably survive better than you guys could, since I have actually outdoor skills. But
I have outdoor skills too.
No.
Yeah,
no.
I can build a fire with no matches, dude.
That's pretty good.
I can ride my bike with no handlebars.
Yeah.
So.
I can catch fish with my bare fucking hands. Beat that shit.
Fucking outside skills.
I grew up in the woods, dude. You have to have outside skills.
True that. Well, that movie actually doesn't sound that bad. It's a weird kind of mashup of films to compare it to, but
as long as they don't fucking cast Kelly Rowland.
Oh, I'll be all over it, man. Well, they wouldn't cast her now because it's like 16, 17 years later. She's probably all old and shitty.
They'll probably cast Rihanna.
Yeah, exactly. Or no, who's the big one right now? Fucking Nicki Minaj or some bullshit.
Fucking Cardi B.
Fuck.
Oh, Taylor Swift.
So after that,
now you're just getting silly, Mike. Come on.
The Grudge remake is actually going to be rated R. So there's that.
I don't really know what to say to that. Oh yeah, the American remakes, they were PG-13, weren't they?
Yeah.
I never even thought about that until you just said that it's going to be rated R, but I'm pretty sure they were pretty PG-13.
Yeah.
Which is fucking so American because
I don't know.
The original Ju-On films are rated R.
All those movies suck. Ju-On, The Grudge.
Oh my
God. I don't like any of them.
Here he comes back to the fucking face paint. This guy's biggest gripe on the film was fucking face paint's like rubbing off his face. I'm like, what the?
Yeah, you can see through the face paint and see like pale or like tan skin underneath.
It's like Ghost. Fuck.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like,
it's supposed to be transparent.
Their regular human skin underneath.
It's supposed to be transparent, man. Maybe.
Are you talking about like all of them or just the American?
That's
no, I'm talking about the original Ju-On.
He's talking. He hates. I think he just hates Asian films in general.
Huh.
I don't know. No, I love Asian movies. I hate Japanese ghost stories and Japanese.
You know what?
Like rubber fucking suit. What is, dude? The fucking
kaiju
rubber fighting ones.
The kaiju films and stuff.
No, I like those a little bit. Like the fucking ones where all the metal looks like rubber, like fucking Meatball Machine and stuff.
Oh.
None of the metal looks like metal.
Well, because if it was metal, that would be really dangerous to film. You know, films aren't real, man.
It looks like fucking cloth.
I think honestly, man,
breaking news.
If our breaking news, films are not real, man. Come on. Yeah, for the Patreoners that are listening to this show, if you're out there, and I'm sure you are, JP needs to have some picks.
No, don't give me any fucking Grudge movies.
No,
seriously.
I'm not, dude. I'm trying to be fucking polite here. Don't interrupt me, you Mexican.
Line up the J horror.
So, anyways, as I was saying, JP needs to have some good Asian ghost story films. There actually is some really good ones out there.
I don't want those. Don't give me those.
Yes, fill his inbox with Asian ghost stories that are
give
good.
Me them. I love them. Give them to me.
I picked up
oh, he's trying to look at this guy. He's trying to use reverse psychology right now. He's like, yes, I love those movies, because we know how that works out when you say you don't like something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but Jeremy, he tortures himself.
I've seen some good ones. I like
Dark Water. That's good.
Dark Water. The Eye was decent.
Shudder.
Ring is okay. I like the American one way better though. Yeah, that's about it. I don't really like the Japanese ghost stories.
Maybe some of the older ones. I think the older ones might actually sell you a little bit. I feel like the older ones.
House is great.
I feel like some of the older ones, man, use the mythology a little bit differently, and it's kind of like more. It's more to the real mythology and stuff. I think some of the later ones kind of get a little bit scarce and they change around things. But
it's just one of those genres too that it got oversaturated so quick. Like it was like, hey, there's these few of them, and the next thing you know, there's like hundreds, and you have to sift through them.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah.
All right. So after that bit of news, what else do we have here? Robert Eggers is coming off of The Lighthouse, which came out today, I believe. It's limited.
Yeah, it expands next week because I start getting showtimes next Thursday.
Oh, okay, cool. But anyway, his next film is going to be called The Northman, a Viking revenge tale. The cast in talks is Nicole Kidman, Alexander Skarsgård, Anna Taylor-Joy, Bill Skarsgård, and William Dafoe. Jeez, such a good cast.
So why is The Lighthouse limited and then just going a little bit more wide after that? What's the point of that?
I do that sometimes.
Yeah, that's not too uncommon here, where like the bigger cities get it first, and then they kind of.
It's still going to be pretty limited.
Do they just want to see what kind of numbers the bigger cities are going to do before they expand out?
I think what they do is, they kind of sparse it out to where like, okay, let's see what New York, LA, and Chicago do, and based on those, we'll start planning what we want to do from there.
But if it does bad, they'll just stop.
Yeah, they'll stop. They won't keep opening it because they can't justify.
I feel like
cities.
I feel like they did it with The Witch. The Witch was a small one, and then they expanded.
Yeah, that's true. Because
I think this one being black and white, they didn't want to. I don't think modern audiences. It sucks to say, but I don't think that they had much faith that modern audiences would see it.
I don't either. And this one kind of gives me It Comes at Night vibes, where people might think they're going into something that it's not going to be, and then they're going to be all pissed off. Like,
well, the Witch is like one of those textbook type examples of film, in modern horror film history that really fucking divides people, man. Yeah, to the point where it's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah,
I thought pretty much everybody liked it.
Dude, there's so many people that hate that movie, man.
What a bunch of weirdos.
I think it's because it's probably, what I'm assuming is probably because it's like a period piece, with the dialect is all fucking choppy. It's not choppy, but it's something you really do want to have the subtitles on for, just to kind of make sure you're not missing anything kind of thing. But it's a little bit confusing, but those movies just aren't for everybody. It's a little artsy and shit like that. I mean, I understand the divide on it.
I love A24.
I think people just can't separate themselves from, like this isn't really for me, but then, they give it, they can't recognize that it's a great film.
The Witch is fucking amazing. Like I didn't love it when I first seen it. I gave it a 7.5, but the dialogue was a real problem for me seeing it in the theater. I couldn't hear a lot what they were saying because the accents were so on point, but then seeing it at home with the subtitles, like, I loved it, and then I watched it again. I loved it even more.
It's
fantastic.
It's that kind of movie's a problem with the general audiences because they see a movie called The Witch, they see the advertisements about how scary it is, and they go to a movie expecting there's some crazy witch running around the woods murdering. That almost like a proto slasher or slasher. That's what they think they're going to be getting, and a half hour into when it's not that, they just. I'm done with this.
I think the period piece hurts it.
Well, I think it's a period piece, and obviously the dialect used in it too, which is amazing. Like how on point that was. It just still to this day it blows my mind that those actors pulled that shit off. They all should have won awards for that. But I think a lot has to do with when you go to the cinema. Some of the younger people. I don't want to just say millennials, but it's certain people in general. They go to the cinema to watch more of a popcorn flick, and this is one that you kind of have to pay attention and also think about too, right?
I think a lot of people go to the theater to see things that are familiar, and when it gets outside of that box, they don't. I'm not saying like they're completely closed off to things that are outside the box, but I think when they're not expecting that, and that's what they get, it's hard for them to reconcile it in that same sitting. Now, maybe later they'll revisit it, and now that they know what they were getting into, they'll maybe their opinion will improve on it. But in that moment, I think it does something to their mindset where it's like, what the fuck is this? Like, this isn't what I thought, and it ruins it.
Yeah, the second you got to think about something, it's like, wow, this one really isn't for me. Or even pay attention to the dialogue. Because it's something like, you have to concentrate on it, man. Like, if you're watching without subtitles, it's definitely... It's something you got to put your mind to.
How many people went to see It Comes at Night, and like all they could say about it at the end was like, dude, nothing came at night. Like, okay, that's all you got out of that movie?
Like, I got so much. That was one of the only films I gave a 10 out of 10 to in the past like 5 years.
I honestly wish that It Comes at Night wasn't titled that way. I think the title hurts the movie. That's the problem. It hurts the people that can't separate themselves from a title to something.
Fuck those people.
But they're not. They're obviously not, and they're also not reading between the lines of It Comes at Night. Also, because shit did come at night. It does come at night, and people miss the whole fucking point of this movie, which is very discouraging. But I think if it had been titled something different,
the trailer was very misleading.
See, I never saw it, so I don't even fucking know.
The trailer was very misleading, but I just don't care about stuff like that. Like, I don't care. Like, people get mad that they're like, I was expecting this and I got this. I'm usually happy if I was expecting this and got this.
We need to mark this down for when we do our, decade show. Because that's definitely one of those films that sparked a lot of controversy. Because remember how pissed off people were about the promotion for the film. The trailer was misleading. People were like, I hate this movie because nothing came at night, and the trailer was misleading. It made it look like it was a creature feature, and it wasn't a creature feature, and nothing came at night, and blah, blah, blah. Like, man, that movie sparked a lot of anger in people, man. I swear people were making Facebook groups based on this film just to bash it, you know what I'm saying? It's like... That's crazy what a film can do to somebody, man. It's crazy. And like for somebody like me, I don't watch trailers. And even if I did see the trailer, I still go into movies with an open mind. I'll still take it for what it is and try to figure it out and, figure it out for myself. I think a lot of people were just piggybacking off each other too when it came to the hate on that film. Like they do with Rob Zombie films and shit. Like, it is what it is. Those type of things. Everyone's not going to like the same shit. We don't have to like the same shit. That's not the point of the conversation right now. The point of the conversation is just to open people's eyes a little bit and just accept what you're watching. Everything doesn't need to be spoon-fed to you. And I think that's a major, major problem with a lot of people when they go to the cinema and watch films. They really don't want to sit there and think, and they want to be overly entertained. But me personally, I watch films differently. I love... films that are really, have good cinematography and atmosphere and shit. Those are the biggest sellers for me, man. And that movie has that. You know, it's
Some people
creepy.
just
It's
don't
slow
like
moving.
the art house stuff.
Yeah, see, I think, but those are very creative type films because, to be honest, it's hard to do properly, right? And when something's moving that slow, it's hard to keep people's attention. But with me, I get more drawn into it. I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, what's gonna happen? I love that shit, man. I live for that type of shit. It's awesome.
Yeah, I prefer. Well, I think especially now, I kind of prefer that kind of stuff where you don't know exactly what's coming next, and you really have to pay attention and be in tune with the movie, and you know anything could kind of happen next. As opposed, and it's not like I don't like popcorn horror too, but I just think certain movies take that shit to a new level. I guess the trendy word now is prestige horror or whatever the fuck it. But I mean, it is true when it comes to some of that.
Or elevated horror.
Elevated, yeah.
It's elevated horror, man. Oh my god, that term, dude. What the fuck?
I don't hate that term. I kind of like it.
Well, I don't mind it. But the only
I think
thing
it's
that bugged
offensive
me,
a little bit. I think it's a tad bit offensive because when you're putting films into a category called elevated horror, like it's kind of downplaying everything else just a tiny bit. I mean, it's still genre films regardless of how well.
People who write the articles and are like super lame and
they're
nose
lame.
up in the air.
Well,
those people suck. But I actually think the term actually fits.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the term. What bugged me the most because it was that first big article that came out. What bugged me is the suggestion that type of horror is something new. Like, because I think it was when Hereditary came out, maybe maybe between The Witch and Hereditary, they're like, this new breed of horror fans that's like elevated. I'm like, you obviously haven't been watching horror very long because there's these type of movies. You can tell
the guy who wrote the article is not a horror fan.
Exactly. Yeah.
I remember that article. Yeah, I hated that article.
Has no just does not know what he's talking about for sure. Yeah. Like there's never been like a really fucking well done artsy type film. You know, along these same lines. It's crazy.
The difference is that it's mainstream now. Like Hereditary, Us, Get Out, It Comes at Night, Midsommar, The Witch. I think that it's kind of like, you know, it's always existed, but I think because it's in the mainstream, that's why you're getting new terms.
Yep, Unfriended. No, just kidding. I just wanted to see one of you guys were like, what?
No, fuck Unfriended. If you want to watch some shit like that, man, watch The Den. The Den is the good movie of that.
Yeah, nobody talks about that movie except for us.
I think The Den to be honest,
oh, go ahead.
I think The Den may have started that whole shot on your computer type shit too. I'm pretty sure. It was like the first film I remember seeing that there was films of that caliber, but not that good though. Like The Den was actually done to the point where I was like, wow, that's fucking edited really well.
Have you guys seen
Searching was really good.
Searching, I would say if I had to, I would say it's more thriller than horror, but the way they integrate like social media, to me it comes off as a realistic, out of all like the kind of, oh my god, I'm looking up stuff on social media, they integrated the best, most realistic way that if someone went missing, that's almost exactly how you would be using like websites and search history and how stuff would unfold. It was so well done.
I haven't seen it.
They're making a sequel to that, I think.
They are. Is it different, like a different situation, or the same character?
I hope.
Yeah, because I'm like, how the hell are they going to extend that story?
Searching was super cool. It almost made my top 10. I think last year it was.
I missed that one. I don't know.
Yeah,
I didn't see it in theaters. I didn't see it in theaters either.
It takes a lot to really want to make me watch something to do with like this new age technology and shit like that. I guess I'm kind of old school, but like
I'm actually a sucker for those films. I like them.
I've seen a lot more that I didn't care for. The Den really sticks out to me. I really fucking enjoyed the shit out of that. But what was that one that recently came out with with Harold?
Unfriended.
No, the movie with Harold. Yeah, from Harold and Kumar. Is that what it's called? Oh, okay.
John Cho.
Is that what it was called?
Yeah,
Searching?
That one's fucking great, dude.
Oh, dude, I totally thought it was called something different. Never mind. So yeah, no, I haven't seen it. So, anyways.
Yeah.
But anyways, I don't know, man. Some of the technology shit, I'm just like, you know, man, I could do without it and stuff. I
Fucking Harold. We're like, who the fuck's Harold? Oh, Harold.
Well, I don't know what his name is. I always call him Harold or Kumar.
They're calling it desktop horror. That's what they're calling it.
That's the actual tech. Wow, that's really creative. Desktop horror.
No, I mean it makes sense, right? I mean it's like within the computer and phone.
Yeah,
and
I
stuff.
just figured it'd be like social media horror or something because it always seems to.
Yeah, but it's not just about. So it's like the style is like different. You know what I mean? Like it's like a spin-off of found footage.
Mm-hmm.
While social media horror could fucking just be about.
Man, Unfriended sucked. Fuck.
Browser history horror.
I like Unfriended.
I thought the first one was better than I thought it was going to be. I'll give it that.
Yeah.
Like I actually had passes to that, and I was like,
horrible, but...
do I even want to go to it? And I ended up going, and I was like, it's okay. It was like decent.
Man, I'm trying to think. There was another one that I seen too, but it was like I think it was like a lower budget one or something.
God, is this going to be a thing like in about 2 years when I can make a top 10 desktop horror list?
Yeah, there's about 6 or 7 of them now, I think.
Good Lord. Well, I don't know. I've only seen a couple.
They should do like a throwback one where they're on like fucking 386s and it takes like 10 minutes to send a message to somebody.
On 386s with dial up?
Yeah.
That was the days of dial up, man. Fucking gnarly.
Yep.
Oh,
all right,
God.
so
That was the worst ever, man.
let's move on here. We have. I don't know, I've seen people review this already and talk about this, but apparently I don't know if it has an official release yet because this film is going to be hitting. Wait a minute.
He's fucking up.
I have no idea what okay, so this article is like really pointless. Never mind.
What's the name of the movie?
That's why people have seen it because it came out in April.
Oh.
But for whatever reason, there's a new article talking about how it's the DVD release, I guess. It's called I Trapped the Devil. Have you guys watched it yet?
I Trapped the Devil, yes.
But I know. Is that the one where the guy thinks he has like the devil in his basement?
It's Christmas.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but I know of it.
Is it good?
Yeah, I thought it was actually really decent.
Sounds cool.
I was impressed with it, yeah.
Okay.
It was one of those. I heard a few people, or saw a few reviews and stuff, and they were kind of indifferent on it. But I thought it was really good. So, IFC released it on disc.
IFC Midnight.
Yeah.
After that, Italian horror master Dario Argento is back and is set to direct a TV series not titled The Sandman. It's titled Longinus.
I heard it's the Kickstarter too.
No, it's not.
Kickstarter.
Oh, do you know the whole Kickstarter thing with the Sandman? Argento's Sandman movie? Basically everybody that, well, the short and long of it is basically everybody that donated to the Kickstarter just got fucked on it. The movie's
it was
never
funny.
coming out.
Brief history of it is back in like 2013 or 14, Dario Argento launched a Kickstarter for a film called The Sandman, which actually looked pretty cool. Like the sales art and stuff looked really neat, and it was about like a serial killer or something. Seemed like kind of maybe giallo rooted or something, and named The Sandman. And it was like, I think Iggy Pop was in it, and they did a Kickstarter, and it surpassed its goal. It wanted like 100,000, and it made like 135,000 or something. And then we were just talking one day about Dario Argento, probably during Italian Horror Month, I believe. And we literally was like, dude, whatever happened in that movie he did? And we started like looking into it a little bit and stuff. And then I don't know, I think Bloody Disgusting around the same time. Like
it was oddly around.
Yeah, I think they listened to us. Somebody over there listened to us. It was fucking strange. This happens all the time. Like we'll talk about something, and then next thing you know, there'll be an article about it. It'll be something obscure too. But they did an article like updating, like they reached out to some people, and apparently it was like just a producing nightmare or something. Like, I think some investors lied and said they had money and they didn't or something, and it just never got off the ground. But they finally, I believe, after like 3 or 4 years, sent the posters to the people who paid for posters. But yeah, it's not a made movie. Like, nothing ever happened with it, and they got $130,000 or something. So
isn't that more of a kick in the face, though? Really, they sent posters
like, where
to the
did
people,
money go?
And I'm like, why the fuck would you want a poster of a film that's never coming out?
Actually, dude, that's going to be a pretty decent collector's item when Dario Argento dies.
Maybe it's a little bit bittersweet, though. I mean, honestly, dude, like, I wasn't overly even that stoked about that movie in the first place, because let's face it, his track record leading up to that film, not really the greatest. I guess we'll find out next year, eh, buddy?
So they, so in 2014, that campaign, it was Indiegogo, launched. It's funny, every year we do a little update on this. Oh, it made $195,000, excuse me.
Jesus.
And it had 1,082 backers. I mean, there was all kind of perks on there. I mean, from everything. You can't
How is
see
there not
anymore.
lawsuits out the ass on that? Because like $195,000 seems like enough money where people would be like, you know,
dude,
we got to do something about this.
Okay, look at this. Somebody claimed two people claimed the $25,000 perk. One person claimed the $5,000 perk. A couple of people, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people claimed the $500 perk. 2 people claimed the $250 perk. 20 people claimed the $130 perk.
Jesus.
There's another $2,500 perk. Another $2,000 perk. 8 people claimed a $1,800 perk. 2 people claimed a $1,500 perk.
What the hell are all these
46 people claimed a $150 perk. I mean, dude, there's
a lot of perks
crazy
in this, man, that are expensive.
Oh, no, there's tons more. 265 people claimed the $35 perk.
Good Lord, man.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm sure the people that claim those 25,000 or whatever they were, 50. Would you say 25 or 50? 25.
25.
You would think that they would have to go after somebody on that. I mean, it's 25 fucking grand. Even if you're rich, it's about the principle at that point.
Yeah.
Right? Like 25 grand, I'm just not going to hand over to somebody and be like, oh, well, you know, your shit, it kind of went south production-wise. So I understand. You know what? Keep the money. Take the kids out for some Mickey D's. Really? Like, fuck off. That's fucking insane, dude.
And then, Bloody Disgusting did an article on it in 2017. And then one other person did one in March. Did we ever talk about that one? March, there was an update. March of 2019, this year. So I don't know if we
probably not, because we only did a couple shows into the point where we decided to break up for
all right, months. It says, despite Dario Argento's legacy getting dragged through the mud by Luca Guadagnino Suspiria remake. Oh, wow, this is a clearly biased article. The Italian filmmaking great is edging towards releasing his next project. As Argento revealed in a new interview, we can expect his new film out next year and likely via streaming hub like Netflix or Amazon. But what isn't clear is whether it's actually the long-in-works film with Iggy Pop. Argento made the reveal about his latest project today while on Radio Rise blah 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 blah, explaining the film would actually be divided into a series of episodes. When asked about the project, the director said, "My new movie, I am working on it with my writers. There is still some work to do, but I am happy with the result. It will be a serial movie for television broadcasting, consisting of 8 episodes in total." So it's not a movie. When asked about how the film project would be released, Argento said Netflix or Amazon, adding it would arrive maybe at the end of next year. But while Argento revealed these details, the director did not say whether he was referring to his adaptation with The Sandman, which was to star Iggy Pop. That project was announced way back in 2014, but despite launching an Indiegogo campaign for the film, it's yet to see the light of day, with neither Argento nor Pop saying much about the project in more recent years. However, when asked about the title of his new project, Un Grano de Paro interview, Argento did not specify that it was the same. It's not the Sandman. Why is these people writing this article is so dumb? It would feature female leads, such as it appears, and Argento could be cooking up something entirely differently. We actually have 2 or 3 titles in mind. We will only need to pick up one of them, he said, adding of the plot. The protagonist will be a woman, a foreigner, because the co-producing company is American, and movie will be in English. So far, no official. Okay, that was not an update at all.
You've been practicing your reading, haven't you, Ben? That wasn't bad. Well,
thank you.
You had a nice little flow going there. No, I think the reason why it's kind of held up in production or whatever's going on there, because Argento's waiting to get word back on if Aja's gonna show her tits in that. So
no, well, honestly, so this what they were talking about,
man.
there,
she needs work. She's been fucking blackballed from Hollywood, man. She needs work. She's like, Daddy, do you need my tits to sell this movie? I'll do it.
What they were talking about there is probably this thing we're talking about here, because this is a TV series that we're talking about here.
But if it's going to be on Netflix and shit, it could have titties.
Nobody's saying it can't.
Yeah. And it can have Aja's.
I'm saying that this show...
Do it for us, Aja.
Mm-hmm. She needs work,
man.
She really does.
He's 70... Dario Argento is 79. He's directing the show. So, I mean... Mm-hmm. That's probably what he was referencing in that article from earlier this year.
I can't believe Argento is still, trying to put projects together and shit, man. Like, he's, pushing 80 years old. He's quite clearly in the, the latter part of his golden years. This guy's still trying to do stuff. And I mean, let's face it, man, his last 5 or 6 movies have been pretty shitty. Not Argento quality and stuff.
Last 5 or 6
of his filmography. Well, you haven't got to him yet, dude. There's only 6. We got this year and we got next year. There's 6 left.
Yeah, there's 6 left, and I like Sleepless, so
I said 5 or 6. Then
maybe the other 5 are bad, but so yeah, dude. I mean, I know that there's technically there. I'm just saying there technically is a way to do another Argento show. Saying.
Well, we didn't
Just
do.
saying.
Yeah, I know. Well, the thing is, no, we did.
No. I'm saying we're gonna do Giallo, Dracula 3D, and do like Hitchcock next year. But I'm saying there's even a possibility to do one after that.
Well, the thing is, we've done his 2 episodes from Masters of Horror. We never did his short in 2 Evil Eyes, or did we?
That's yeah. No, we didn't do that.
And we didn't do the Western. And we also didn't do his episode of Door into Darkness, that little short Italian series. I have the set from Maya. It's got 4 short, basically movies. They're about an hour piece, and he actually directed one of them along with Luigi Ucozzi and a couple other guys and stuff. It's actually really underrated. I never hear people ever talk about that short-lived series. And considering Argento was a big part of it, he was the one that put the whole thing together and even directed one of the episodes, which I remember being pretty good, actually. So. But yeah, I mean, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah. So, no, we're not trying to makeshift a fucking another year, man. I think you're ending at 6, man.
I'm not going to do another one. I was just being funny, but I mean, I don't know. We could probably somewhere put in 2 Evil Eyes just to say we've completed his filmography. We could do another episode, not like a Italian month episode, but like a fucking anthology episode or something.
Why don't we just do it as a bonus feature at the end of Argento 6?
Yeah, we'll do 4 films for his last one, huh?
There's literally it's an hour long.
Yeah.
It's like
anyway. The last little bit of news here is, which this isn't really that much news because it was already known. Danielle Harris was at a convention, Halloween reunion, where she was asked about the Hatchet films, and she said there's supposed to be 2 more. And she said that I know Adam said they're going to shoot them at the same time. I have not read the script or done anything.
Fuck, I don't like that.
know that he always makes me do really stupid shit, and a lot of it. So hopefully I'm going to be handcuffed. It's not going to be handcuffed the entire movie this time or covered in. It's completely insane what he has me do, but I know there's supposed to be 2 more, which is great.
I know when I got her to sign my Hatchet 3 DVD in the summer, she's like, "Oh yeah, I wish I had more to do in this one." And the look she gave me when I said, "Yeah, it's actually my favorite Hatchet movie," she kind of looked up at me and like, okay.
She had a lot to do in Hatchet 3, did she not?
Well, I mean, she was mostly in the police station for it, to be honest.
Oh.
Right? Actually, she's in there pretty much the whole time.
Yeah.
So not really a whole lot. Not really a whole lot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to him. I hope he does them. I like them all, so. Well,
I just hope, I mean, if they're going to shoot both of the movies at the same time, I hope that there's, like, a budget for 2 movies instead of just having, you know, a minor budget and just making 2 movies out of it. I hope that's not the case.
Yeah.
Because when you're shooting 2 movies at one time, you always kind of get that in the back of your mind that, hey, the budget must not be that great. So that's a little bit worrisome, but, I mean, you got... the characters coming back and stuff, that's always a good thing. So
yep. And that's the news.
Fucking thing sucks.
42 shots.
I guess this is a knowledge segment again. Sticking with the theme last week.
Why the fuck don't you tell me about this shit so I can be like, yo, man, and JP's got a knowledge segment. Let me do my shit, motherfucker.
I just like to surprise you guys. Sticking with the theme of last week, I did the top 20 greatest killer clown films, which was not a great list. So I have horrible. 2 more lists here. I'll let you pick which one you want me to do. There is the Dreadful 10, the top 10 Nunsploitation films, or a recommendation of 7 Nunsploitation films from Rue Morgue.
Top 10.
Okay, top 10. This is actually Rebecca McKendry's top 10, who is from Shockwaves.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, she has a spin-off show called like Nightmare University or some shit. Mm-hmm. And she did an episode on Nunsploitation there that's actually really good. So check that out if you never have.
I bet you the Rue Morgue's recommendations are pretty good. Maybe just rip through those quickly after.
Okay.
Look at that.
A lot of the same ones. Okay, so the top 10 here has 3 honorable mentions. I haven't seen like any of these movies, so I'm looking at moods to tell me if they're any good.
Okay. Well, hopefully
she's probably seen most of them. So the honorable mentions are Sister Emmanuel.
Oh yeah, it's pretty decent. It's okay.
All right. Then The True Story of the Nun of Monza from 1980.
Ooh, I haven't seen that one.
All right. And Sister Smiles.
I have not seen that one either.
Nope.
Is that even that might not be a movie. That might be something from a TV show.
I know the song.
Okay, so here's the top 10. I'm not sure if these are in order or not. It doesn't have numbers next to them, but first up is The Devils, 1971.
Oh, Ken Russell's The Devils, man. You know what, man? Actually, when I brought up the fact I wanted to do like a Nunsploitation film, and I mentioned these 2 films that we're going to be reviewing later, I immediately after was like, fuck, it would have been so good to do The Devils with these 2, because these movies are, I mean, they're not connected to The Devils, but they are just kind of like, you know, they're not like an extension of The Devils in a sense. They have similarities.
Okay.
But that movie is fucking phenomenal. And the crazy thing about The Devils is that movie's never been like released fully uncut. There's been like uncut versions, but there's like a longer version and stuff. I think
there has been a release of it completely uncut on Shudder actually, but I think they took it off now.
Oh, really? Because
it was like a couple years ago, Shudder like announced it as that too. They're like the only place to see the, you know, Ken Russell cut or whatever.
Because I always thought that there was like a lot of problems with that footage and stuff, and it wasn't sanctioned or whatever to be released. I don't know. There was problems with the cut footage, but there's so many different cuts of the movie. It's like crazy. But yeah.
And then next up is Flavia, the Heretic from 1974.
Yeah, great movie. Own that one too.
All right. Then School of the Holy Beast from 1974.
Whew, I have not seen that one.
That's surprising. Then we have Satanico Pandemonium from 1975, one of the films we're reviewing tonight.
Yep.
And then Alucarda from 1977, which is the other film we're reviewing tonight.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Then we have The Killer Nun from 1978.
Yeah, Killer Nun's decent.
This one might be kind of a little bit of a shoeing it in, forcing it in. Miss 45 from 81.
Really? They put Miss 45 in there? In my opinion,
she's wearing nun garb.
It is true, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it's not a Nunsploitation. I don't know. That's interesting. But it's my favorite rape revenge film.
Not mine.
I love Miss 45. It's so fucking brutal.
It's not that. I don't know, dude. I watched it and I was like, hey, this is what everybody's talking about. I didn't think it was. I liked it. I just didn't think it was like, no, I spit on your grave or anything.
Oh, fuck. You can't. You gotta be kidding me. I Spit on Your Grave? You like that one more than Miss 45?
Yeah.
Ugh, man. I think the remake is better. The fucking original one. That's just me.
I don't know. Then we have Dead Waters, 1994.
I've never seen it.
Oh, you know what? I just realized. They are in chronological order. Then we have The Convent from 2000. Oh,
yeah. It's fun.
And then finally, The Devil's Backbone from 2001.
Huh. Cool.
All right. And the Rue Morgue list also has Flavia, the Heretic.
Yep.
School of the Holy Beast.
I'm going to have to check that
Satanico Pandemonium. Killer Nun. Alucarda. The Other Hell. That was the only one that was not on there so far.
Oh, the fucking Bruno Mattei film, The Other Hell. Nice.
I've seen that before, I think. I think I own that movie.
Well, you probably got it for free, yeah. I think several released it.
Dark Waters was the last one on there.
Oh, yeah. Crazy. I'm surprised that Malabimba wasn't on there. That one's a really good one. On either list. Crazy. Yeah, there's some good ones. There's some good ones out there.
The Last House on the Beach. That's an honorable mention.
Actually, that's got the same chick that stars in Flavia the Heretic. She's in that one too.
Man, the 70s really loved their Nunsploitation, I'll tell you what.
Exploitation era, man. Actually,
wasn't there like a newer one?
Nude Nuns with Big Guns. That movie's kind of fun.
Yeah.
I think it came out in like 2009 or 10 or something like that.
What a name.
It is, man. It's actually pretty fun though. Yeah, good shit.
All right, so that is that.
Cool. Well, that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
For these themed shows, just keep trying to find some of these top 10 lists.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do.
I mean, if you really have to go digging for some obscure theme or something like that, I probably did a top 10 on my channel. You can just name mine.
I thought about that, but I was like, yeah, that. I didn't feel like going through the video, writing them down.
Yeah, true that, man. Okay, well, I guess that's a knowledge segment.
I am the devil, and I am here to do the devil's work.
They will say that I have shed innocent blood. What's blood for, if not for shedding?
I like to dissect girls. Did you know I'm utterly insane?
Have you checked the children?
What do we do?
Why don't we just wait here for a little while? See what happens.
All right, man. Jumping into the dub portion of the show. What we watched.
Who wants to start us off this week?
I'll go. So first up here, I got a screener of Weedjies Halloweed Night. This is the first of the Full Moon Deadly 10. So Full Moon launched this actually very, very interesting. I wish it had got more steam, but very interesting concept where they created a website where they were going to live stream the production of films that they were going to make, 10 of them to be exact. And they, I checked out some of the live streams, and honestly, it was really neat. And they had like sort of edited down versions of like stuff that happened. I wish I could have watched more of it, but it was a very interesting concept by Charles Band and the Full Moon crew, and there is some cool movies that they were doing too. Some really exciting ones that I'm really excited for. I'm trying to pull up the list here of the 10 films. So the 10 films are Weedjies, Halloweed Night, Necropolis Legion, which is a sequel to Necropolis from the 90s, I believe. Blade, the Iron Cross, Blade's own spin-off movie from Puppet Master. Subspecies 5, Blood Rise, finally doing another subspecies, which I want to say, I think that, who's the guy that did that, the original Subspecies? Forget his name.
Oh, dude, it's like sitting right on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah.
Fuck, what's his name?
Ted Nicolai.
Yeah.
Yeah, he actually is coming back to direct that, so that's cool.
I hope somehow he can capture that 90s feel, because the Subspecies franchise is like straight 90s. The whole fucking franchise was in the 90s.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Then Sorority Babes and the Slime Bowl-orama 2, which is actually going to be directed by Brink Stevens and David Ducado.
Brink Stevens starred in the first one. That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think they might even got some of the cast back for that one. Oh, yeah, Linnea, I think.
I was going to say Leanna Quigley's probably in it for sure.
Linnea. But...
Fuck off. Also,
the Hourglass, Femme Alien Cosmic Crush, the Shadowheart Curse, the Grim Reaper, and one that I'm really excited for, Bride of the Head of the Family, which is...
Oh, they're actually making that now.
Yeah, well, if you remember on the DVD to Head of the Family, or the VHS rather, if you watch the end, they had like production footage for Bride of the Head of the Family, and they just never made it. So yeah, I thought it was really cool. And like each film you could click on the website, and this is all free. This was all free. And you can look at like the director's interview beforehand. You could look at like sneak peeks with the FX guy, like all this stuff. And when they would film, they would have 3 cameras on live streaming the entire day, like the 8-hour day or whatever they did, 10-hour day. And the next one that they're doing is in 32 days, they're doing Femalian Cosmic Crush. 32 days, 3 hours, and 59 seconds will be the next live stream. But yeah, it was really neat. I was really into checking it out when I could. I think I watched some of the Necropolis. Did they film that one yet? I don't know. Yeah, I think they did film that one because the world premiere is November 8th on Necropolis. So the first one that they finished and had edited and ready to go is Weedjies, Halloweed Night, and I got a screener for it. It is a it is a film that is set on Halloween. It opens up in 1978. You get a quick little clip there, and then it flashes forward to present day Halloween night. A couple of smoking hot girls are like renting a hotel, or they like know somebody who is, I don't know why. I don't think they say why it's not open for the night, but they decide to throw a huge Halloween party in there, and they play this Ouija board. And
what?
It summons
a Ouija board?
Yes, a Ouija board. And awesome. It basically summons these. I want to say there's 4, basically ghoulies. They're fucking ghoulies. Just weed inspired ones. There's like a rocker one. There's a ripoff ghoulie one. The female one has like a boa constrictor tail. And it looks it reminds me of the female gremlin from the first Gremlins. And then there's like a weed wolf one that rides a bike. And essentially they are, attacking this party, and it's up to the 3 girls to like put them back in the Ouija board, or, they're banished to the nether realm. first thing I'll say, production value seems way higher than any. I haven't watched Full Moon in a couple of years. Like when we first started doing the podcast, I would watch like every new Full Moon movie. I used to buy them during the sales and stuff like that. So like 2010 to like 13, like any new Full Moon movie that came out, I would check out. But I haven't watched a Full Moon movie in years.
That's because I think most of the new ones, like, I mean, they are putting physical copies of them out, but some of them are like streaming only or some shit too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But you know, watching, you know, this one, I was like, wow, man, it feels like Full Moon is actually sort of up their budget from the stuff like that was coming out back. Like I remember like when Doll Graveyard came out, like I remember watching that one. Some of the later Killjoys and stuff like that, but and the Evil Bong films, like the first three, I watched the first three of those. But
it's all those fake fucking VHS boxes Band was selling.
Yeah, right. So it actually looks like it has some production value. Like they have some, most likely either stock footage or you know.
No way, stock footage in a fucking Full Moon movie? No way.
No, I mean, but it doesn't look like stuff. It's definitely newly shot, but I don't know where the hell they got it. I doubt they filmed in Las Vegas themselves. But there's some green screen Vegas stuff in there too. But I think there is a couple of on location stuff too. And the puppeteering is pretty good. Like these Weedjies look pretty cool. They remind me exactly of like Ghoulies, dude. Like it's funny. They feel like Ghoulies. I will say this: the biggest issue I had with this film is one, no nudity, and it felt like there was going to be nudity. I was just like, what? This sucks. Like there's no nudity in this. And then two, like I just felt like there was no kills or no type of it just didn't have like any murders or anything.
It didn't have any horror to it.
Yeah, there was like little horror, and it made me a little bummed because I liked the Weedjies. They were cool. But
it had no horrors and it had no horror. What a weird movie. What a weird one.
And the Cool Duder has a cameo in it as well.
Well, I'll play the part of Jeremy. Fuck that homo.
Fucking Cool Duder.
Yeah. But I just think that it was a little weak on the horror, dude. Like it sucked because it could have been cool. Like I would have liked to see. Honestly, like I liked the movie. It was actually shot like decently, and like the sound was good. The effects were pretty good. Good practicals. You know, it's a little monsters movie, but it just didn't have the horror there. And I will say that the end sort of had a nice little. Oh, that's another thing. The damn, like art. Title sequences and end credits and stuff were really good, like really cool, like animated, almost not animated like a cartoon, but just like cool graphic design basically, and that was cool. And they gave a really, really cool like rest in peace to John Carl Buechler at the end and had him with the Ghoulies, so that even makes me think more that it's inspired, like it's just capitalized. Like basically Charles Band doesn't own the rights to Ghoulies, so he's like, damn it, I'm gonna make my Ghoulies no matter what. Just gonna add weed to them.
Who actually has the rights to that? Because I mean, Empire was that an Empire film? MGM owns like all the Empire stuff. Yeah, that's right, because they're all distributed through them. That's right. Yeah.
But yeah, so it wasn't great. It had mad potential, though. That's what's disappointing about it. But it was entertaining enough. I was very shocked by just the production value being like much higher for a Full Moon film. So I would probably give it like a 5 out of 10. But it, you know, I don't think I rate very many Full Moon films high anyway. Definitely worth a watch if you like Full Moon. And the world premiere is actually just in like 3 days. So by the time this episode's live outside of the Patreon, it'll be out.
I think if you were watching more of the newer Full Moon films, you'd realize that a lot of them don't really have like a lot of horror. They really play them as comedies now.
That sucks.
Like a lot of them are like mostly I know it's kind of frustrating because, you know, Full Moon in the 90s and shit actually was horror.
Yeah.
Early 2000s.
Well, I'm hoping,
stuff.
Subspecies looks at least horror, so.
Well, I mean,
but it's kind of cool. You could click on each one here, like, they shot the Blade one already.
See, I can see the Blade. I mean, those ones will be Subspecies. I mean, if they play it as a comedy, that's going to just be ridiculous because the Subspecies franchise is pretty serious, right? It's pretty hoary.
Okay, so
Hoary?
That's pretty cool.
Pretty hoary.
They shot
Robert Horry.
Yeah.
They shot the Blade one.
That's always been kind of my gripe with these later new Full Moon films. They're super, super low budget, most of them, and they're just filled with like really cheesy comedy. It's kind of a shame. Oh,
in case you were wondering, in 153 days, 1 hour, 52 minutes, and 48 seconds, you'll be able to watch the Subspecies 5 shooting in March of 2020 in Albania.
And that time won't be precise when this when it's able to listen. Or for the fans when you guys are listening, fuck.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I was talking to you, Mike.
Yeah. But that's kind of cool. I mean, I think that's actually a pretty cool premise.
It was a great idea, man.
Yeah.
I wish we would have like talked about. I don't think we were doing. I don't think we were doing shows when they started showing. I think we talked about them talking about doing it when they announced they were going to do it, but I think we weren't doing shows whenever they started doing it. But yeah, it was cool, man. I was like, that's a cool little thing, and I'm excited for the films they got coming up. There's some fun Full Moon ones.
Well, if there's
cool sequels.
I mean, if you can ever give Full Moon props for one thing, it's for being kind of creative with, you know, the way they sell their products. I mean, that's kind of cool. I mean, that's really inviting. Even if the movie does suck, I mean, watching it live and kind of, you know, the production and stuff, I think that's really interesting. And they're the first to do it. Got to give Charles Mann, man. He's always innovating shit, man, even though he's a crook. But he definitely knows how to sell shit well.
Mann alone. Yeah.
Oh, fuck. So.
All right, that was mine.
Mike.
All right. So my first one is something that's kind of out of the norm for me to go see. It's a kids movie. I went to take my kids to Addams Family. So anyone that knows me, I am the worst parent when it comes to like watching kids stuff with my kids. Whatever they want to watch, I'll let them watch. As far as kids movies, I'll usually set it up like in like a different room for me. I can't do it like for most stuff where you just I'm not one of those parents that can just sit down and watch like kiddie stuff. I tune out. I get bored. I can physically be there. It doesn't like send me out of the room, but I usually don't do it. But they have I think these are Amazon Fire tablets, and the Addams Family movies were like advertisements for those were just popping up on every little thing they did. So my oldest was like, hey, I want to go see this, and something I was like, well, I think I can be down with that because, you know, I like Addams Family. I like the movies, and I haven't seen a ton of the show, but, you know, from what I've seen in syndication, I've always liked it. So I was like, all right, we'll do that. And then because my oldest one wanted to go, my youngest one, of course, chimes in. She's like, hey, I want to go too. All right. It's going to cost more to go with all of us, but I'll do it. And you know, I ended up liking it okay. It's not something I would have seen if I didn't have kids. I don't think I would have found myself in the theater to watch an animated Addams Family movie. But you know, it was fun for what it was. It's kind of like an origin story to how they got to America. They were kind of driven out by like the townsfolk of I don't even remember what country of origin they were, but they got driven out. And, you know, the movie really, or this animated movie, it really came off as like a huge allegory just for like accepting and being open to people that are different than you, which, you know, is obviously kind of like a timely message in modern times. It was laid on pretty thick. I mean, probably for my kids, my oldest is only going to be 8 in January, so I'm sure she wasn't like taking notes like, oh, that's a good message there. For adults, it was laid on thick enough to where it was obvious that that's what they were going for with the story. But, you know, it had a lot of those Addams Family tropes of them being like weirdos, and they were, you know, trying to fit in with just like quote unquote normal society. And of course they get judged harshly at first, and then people, they're a little different from us, but they're good neighbors and they have good qualities and all that kind of stuff. So overall it was fun. I don't regret going. I was able to stay focused on it the whole time. Half the time I was kind of watching them to see what their reactions were, because my oldest, it's only the second time she's been to the movie theater, and my youngest, it was her first time going. So, you know, I was kind of split between watching the movie and watching their reactions. I think it actually made like a good amount of money. I think the last time I checked, it was like up to 30-something million, and they already said they're probably gonna. I think a sequel's coming next year, so
yeah, they already
end up seeing another
sequel.
one. Yeah, so it made a decent chunk of change. Like it is a kids animated movie, but I wasn't sure if like the Addams Family held enough weight with, you know, kids these days that they would care. But maybe just the advertising, you know, it looks goofy enough when they're watching commercials of it, so maybe they just were interested. Or maybe, you know, adults that are familiar with the Addams Family were more willing to take the family to it. Either way though, it was, for what it was good. It was entertaining. So yeah, the Addams Family.
I'm surprised it took them that long to do an animated film.
I am surprised too. I mean, if you kind of like Google the Addams Family, it's funny because like through the years you've seen like, obviously they did the movies like the big budget ones, but there's been like multiple different like straight to TV just awful like low budget garbage fest, and it's like every so often they pop up with like another adaptation of the Addams Family. But I thought this one was pretty solid for a kids movie. So if any, I'm sure, you know, a decent amount of your listeners have kids, so it's definitely something I would recommend taking them to.
Yeah, that's just the way animated kids films are now, man. They're not just for kids. The themes are always for adults to understand, because, I mean, let's face it. How do the kids get to the cinema? Their parents. And it's aimed at, you know, that age group of your children too, right? So usually you're going to take them in, and they make the film so adults can appreciate them too, right? I mean, yeah, that's what I kind of like about like the Hotel Transylvania film stuff. Like, you know, I've got a kid that's 9 too, so I've seen all these movies. And, you know, like, there's a lot of jokes for adults in there. You know, they poke at stuff, and kids will never get it.
Yeah, a lot of humor that they just wouldn't understand the punchlines, or even the setups where you and me would see them coming a mile away, but for them it's like a brand new joke too.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, I was never into those movies before I had a child, and, you know, I've seen a lot of movies, and I kind of gained an appreciation for them. You know, I mean, they just make them better than they used to, though, too, because, you know, they throw in these adult themes, too, and stuff, and I like that, you know. Plus, the animation's, like, amazing.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed with, like, how it looked. And there was a lot of... What I liked about this is, like, if you look at the IMDb page for the voice casting, there's a lot of celebrities, but when I was watching, because other than the Snoop Dogg one, that obviously stands out, but...
Snoop was in that?
It was more his song, because he was listed as a cousin It.
What? Really?
Yeah, but cousin It comes driving up playing like Drop It Like It's Hot in like a lowrider car. So obviously that is just too on the nose that you're not going to not notice that. But for the most part, like, it took me a while to, not that I was trying to recognize them, but it took me a while to even realize some of the voices were those celebrities. Like, it wasn't like for example, it wasn't like a Mike Myers doing Shrek where it's just totally obvious it's Mike Myers doing that. Like, Charlize Theron did the voice for Morticia Addams. I didn't immediately recognize her. Nick Kroll, because Nick Kroll really kind of did Uncle Fester like it wasn't just like his regular speaking voice. He really and once you realized it was him, you could, okay, yeah, that's Nick Kroll, but because he was kind of doing such an over the top voice. But yeah, there's a bunch in here. So, but anyways, overall, yeah, I would recommend it for family. If you don't have kids, yeah, I wouldn't say there's a reason to run out and see it. Maybe if, you know, once it hits Netflix or VOD and you're kind of curious about just being a fan of the Addams Family, I would say, yeah, check it out.
Yeah. That's cool. All right, man. So first film up tonight for myself is a Patreon pick from Aaron. It always makes me laugh. It's just Aaron.
Did Mike rate that, by the way?
I don't know.
Mike?
I rate it K for kids.
K for kids?
Wait for our ratings page.
I will say, I mean, as an adult trying to rate, I would say I would give it like a 6. I mean, my kids would probably rate it higher, so that's meaningless for the show. But you know, it's kind of like a little hard just because it's an adult lens for kids.
6 is fine.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. So first up, Patreon pick from Aaron from 2019, and it is called Hunt. This is a film I actually just reviewed on Fresh Cuts a couple weeks back, I think. I even made a joke about that too, how that day I noticed that it came up on our Google Patreon page. I was like, oh, I got to review this on 22 Shots. So, Hunt, it's been getting a lot of buzz. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of one of the more standout kind of killer clown type films that's out this year. There's so fucking many of them. There's like 1 million killer clown films this year. It's just insane. Of course, in the light of the new It film dropping, that's just the way shit works nowadays. So this film actually takes place on Halloween, and you know, it's about a bunch of people that end up at this haunt kind of deal. The movie starts out with our main character Harper. You know, she's kind of in her dorm and stuff, and she's obviously having some relationship issues with her boyfriend. Her friend kind of walks in and sees her putting some cover up on her face, so she's obviously been like physically abused and stuff, and really not in the mood to go out for Halloween. So, you know, they ultimately change her mind, kind of. They drag her out to this Halloween party that I will say doesn't really feel like a Halloween party besides people in costumes, but that was one thing that we did talk about. The aesthetic of the film, even though it's set on Halloween, really doesn't feel like a film that was set on Halloween. It doesn't have a great Halloween aesthetic, so it's kind of disappointing for myself right there. But anyway, she gets brought out to this party. They stay there for a little while. Some shit happens. They decide that they want to go find a haunt. And they end up at this this particular one where it's kind of set up like an escape room type deal. They make their way into there, and then, you know, shit kind of goes haywire. So, my thoughts on the movie, you know, it's pretty standardized, you know, for the first couple acts. Again, what we talked about, it's the first couple acts are very filled with like just those type of tropes where you're like, fuck, man, like really, like you're still going to do this type of shit today. It's just, they're just so obvious and things like that. But it's actually a pretty entertaining watch. I mean, the characters, none of the characters are really that stand out in this. They're all kind of standardized characters and stuff. You know, you've got the funny guy, you've got the pretty girl, blah, blah, blah. The list goes on and on. Very tropey. But the kills aren't too bad. Like, there's a couple that are kind of notable in this, mostly practical mixed with a little bit of CG and stuff. And, you know, the first 2/3 are, like I said, pretty standard stuff, man. It's them kind of going through this maze. And I will say the haunt itself is kind of cool, but it was missing that Halloween aesthetic. I was hoping to have more of a Halloween feel in the haunt than just, you know, guys in clown masks and things like that. And, you know, some of the rooms and some of the ideas were actually kind of cool, where they got to go through this, like, this casket with this trap door to get into this next part. And it's not full-blown escape room where they're being timed and shit, but they do have to figure out their way through this kind of thing. And then, you know, halfway through it, they figure out that, you know, they're obviously being hunted, essentially. So the first 2/3 are pretty standard, and then it kind of picks up towards the end. The end of the film is actually where it shines a little bit more. You get some better kills, a little bit more decent action and stuff. And then the very end of the film, you kind of really have to extend your mind a little bit, because the very end of the film's a little bit ridiculous, kind of entertaining and stuff. But there is a lot of problems with the movie too. With just certain aspects of, you know, the haunt itself and who's doing the killings and why. Nothing is really explained too well. It's very ambiguous when it comes to that, which I think in this movie it would have been nice to get some type of story, because it just kind of, it feels very empty at that point. And then there's another aspect of, like, you know, the haunt where, you know, these people are haunting you or hunting you based on your fears and things like that. And again, things that aren't explained, which is a little bit frustrating too, because when you put that into perspective, into the narrative, it's kind of frustrating, because you're like, well, how the fuck did they know what this person's, you know, fears were and shit like that? Even though one of the scenes actually, you know, depicting this certain character's biggest fear. Actually, is probably the coolest scene in the whole film for myself, anyways. But still, it doesn't. It kind of lacks sense. It's very nonsensical when it comes to that type of shit. And there's actually a part with, which I think going into this film, Harper's boyfriend, because right at the beginning of the film, like he seems like he's going to be involved in this film a little bit more, with the abuse and things like that, and throwing pumpkins at their place, and her friend trying to break up with her, all this type of stuff. But he doesn't really play a huge factor in this. It's actually a really strange scene where they're driving to this haunt, and he's quite clearly there, and he disappears and things like that. So there's definitely problems with this film. It's entertaining for what it is. It definitely has some highlight moments in it. But overall, man, I liked it the first time I watched it more than the second time. When I rewatched it for Fresh Cuts, I was like, I don't know, maybe it was just us talking about it, because when you review with Venom, he goes scene by scene by scene, and you really fucking break down things completely, and then you start to really realize even the points I was bringing up too were like, it's very nonsensical, and I don't mind like Nightmare Logic and stuff, but that doesn't apply to this type of film. It's a fucking haunt. So overall, it's not a bad movie. I wouldn't say it should be getting the hype it actually is getting, because it's not really that great, but I'm going to come in about a 6 out of 10 on it. It's still entertaining for what it is, and like Mikey said before, if you can catch it on VOD for cheap and shit, which actually was a joke on Fresh Cuts also, because Venom said it was like $7 to rent. Was that right, Mike?
Mm-hmm.
Like it was
something
just
like that, yeah.
Yeah, like the movie, don't rent it for that type of price. It's not that type of movie, in my opinion. If you trust my opinion, then whatever. If you don't, then go fucking watch it. Go blow your money. But it's okay for what it is. It's all right. I just think that it could have been a lot better for what it was. So, but
yeah, it's funny because that episode kind of, you remember we ended up almost talking about candy corn half the time, and I think I like candy corn a little bit more.
Yeah, man. Well, that was
and a lot of people are the opposite, but
100%. Well, I think like this is what we discussed, and we actually kind of joked about it. We finished the haunt review, and I was like, well, so are we going to finish the candy corn review now? It was funny because we like pretty much got into it also, but it comes back to that old argument about, Haunt is quite clearly a better made movie. It's probably got better acting in it. It's shot way better. Just the sets.
Yeah, bigger movie too.
The sets are better. The atmosphere is really good in Haunt too. Like there's certain aspects of the filmmaking that are actually pretty good. And then you got Candy Corn, which is, the narrative is pretty standard stuff, and it's not shot as well, it's not acted as well. It's got decent kills, but it's way more entertaining for what it is. And I would probably take Candy Corn over Haunt anytime.
Yeah, like I could tell out of the two, like I'm already more interested to revisit Candy Corn. It's a smaller film in scope, but I feel like they did a better job with what they had to work with.
Yeah, it's that example again of a film being way more higher budget like Haunt is. Haunt was actually produced by Eli Roth too, so it did have a lot of production value, just not like the greatest narrative, I guess. But and you got Candy Corn, which is more of it's more of a higher budget indie film. Really, It has a little bit of money into it, but it's not like super high indie film type stuff. But it's not like shoestring budget either.
Yeah, it's indie, but it felt like they were competent in their ability to make a movie.
Well, that was the thing about that movie too, because Candy Corn's funny because it actually has Tony Todd in a cameo, which is pretty minor. He doesn't really do a whole lot, and it's got PJ Souls, of course, from Halloween's in it and things like that. But I don't really remember them billing them top names on it either. They're just kind of there.
I had completely forgotten or never even knew in the first place. The main thing I knew about Candy Corn is I'd seen the poster so many times, just from other people posting about it, and I knew it kind of was like a Halloween season type movie that was new. So that's kind of what made me want to see it. And then afterwards I was like, oh, Tony Todd's in it for like a scene. Oh, there's PJ Souls. Whatever. Like, to me, some people were like irked by the fact that, Tony Todd didn't have a big role, but throughout the movie, I just didn't care. I liked the other stuff. So
no, I didn't mind that at all. Actually, Courtney Gaines, of course, from, Children of the Corn fame. I think he's Malachi. And everybody knows the ginger kid, but he's actually pretty good in it. He plays the sheriff in that film, and I don't know. It's just a way better. It's I wouldn't say better. It's just a more entertaining film. If you had to rate Haunt, Mike, what would you actually give it as a rating?
Oh fuck, Haunt. Shit. I would probably say like between like 5 and a 6, somewhere in there. I thought there was there was good elements to it, but I mean, pretty much everything you said, because we all kind of agree. I think Venom liked Haunt a little more than us.
Yeah.
But generally what you said, I agree with. There was good aspects of it, but it missed the boat on stuff too. And a movie like that, I don't think should leave certain things to mystery that it does. There was no reason to not give us a little bit more explanation.
That came back to my whole thing, man, about, the narrative and stuff. Like, this is the type of film that would have been kind of nice because it feels so empty. When you don't have those explanations, and just there's nonsense bullshit in it too, where you got the fucking boyfriend which we all agreed, because I think Venom asked the question. He's like, wasn't that the boyfriend's truck behind them when they find the haunt? And they're like, where did he go? And I'm like, yeah, I know. It's bad writing, because you're kind of thinking, this film's going to go one way, and it completely fucking doesn't. And then by the end of the film, you think back on what you just watched, and you're like, well, that was really ridiculous and pointless. Right?
Yeah.
Like, there's just so many things like that in this movie, and you're like, man, the script could have been so much better. So much better. To me, it's a little bit of a miss, but at this point, it's popcorn shit. Really, you could watch this without paying attention and still have a minute fun with it. So,
yeah.
I mean, I don't get it. Like, people, even today, I've seen, I gotta fucking watch Haunt, man. I've been hearing so much good things about it. I'm like, holy shit, who the fuck are these people? But it's all right. It's okay. So, anyways, that was Haunt. JP, back to you.
Yeah, like Haunt and Candy Corn again.
Haunt and Candy Corn, they go hand in hand apparently. Yeah.
All right, so last up for me is a Patreon pick from Jellybane, I believe. Yeah. And this film is
spit it out.
Kalifornia with a K.
Yeah, the one with Brad Pitt.
Yep. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I actually own it.
Have you seen it, Mike?
No, I haven't.
I don't think I've seen it probably since the days where it came out on fucking DVD. It's been a long time.
Came out in 1993. I've never even heard of it, honestly.
Yeah.
When I got it, I was like, since I never heard of it, I thought it was going to be like not fucking horror at all, like an action movie or something. But it's a thriller with serial killing, so it fits. It basically follows a young journalist who is a graduate student, and he wants to pursue his career, and he wants to do a book based on serial killers. And him and his girlfriend decide that they want to move to California to get their life going. And he basically plots a road trip to go and sort of, spot these serial killer plots, famous killer areas during the trip. And to sort of cut costs, he decides, hey, he can post a ride share on the university campus board, and he attracts the attention of a psychopath named Early, played by Brad Pitt. The journalist is David Duchovny. Brad Pitt plays Early Grace, who is a psychopath, which is kind of interesting, honestly. Like, I'm surprised more people don't talk about this film, because it's not the
first time he kind of played like Pitt. Yeah.
Yep, I actually have seen it. Sorry, I thought you said something else. California, right? As soon as you said all the people in it, where he playing the guy that's like, what is he like, writing about serial killers or something like that? And they're yeah, okay.
I always feel like this was the movie that got Juliette Lewis the part in Natural Born Killers for some odd reason. I always just kind of related this movie to that. I don't know.
Yeah, and Juliette Lewis plays his girlfriend, Brad Pitt's girlfriend. She's like a developmentally delayed, that's how they have it written here on Wikipedia, which is probably a good way to say it. Girlfriend, she's like not the brightest bulb in the where are bulbs kept? The tree? Brightest bulb in the strand of lights.
Brightest bulb in the lamp.
Brightest bulb in the shed.
When I saw it, because I think we actually did this on our Theme Warriors not too long ago. I wasn't sure if she came off as developmentally developmentally disabled to me, or just like uber white trashy and looking to get out of like a bad situation. And Brad Pitt was like the first dude to come along.
She's definitely has some.
I mean, she might have just been dumb for sure.
I think I remember her being a little bit slow in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they join the rideshare, and so this guy, it's kind of ironic because this guy's looking for serial killers, the history of them. Meanwhile, Brad Pitt is like killing people along the journey.
Yeah,
and he plays a really interesting character because he's not like a serial killer that's like, oh, like I'm, fucking Jeffrey Dahmer or something. You know what I mean? He's just a bad guy.
Oh, so
like,
he doesn't eat penises in this movie?
No, he
doesn't have a MO or any type of mission statement. He just like literally.
Well, no, he does though. He does. He kills people sometimes for personal gain. Like, there's a scene where he needs money, so he sees a guy have some money, and he goes in the bathroom and kills him and takes the money. So yeah, he does. He's just like a bad dude. Like he just doesn't care about. He's a sociopath essentially. He doesn't care about other people. And I believe even David Duchovny's character, because he narrates certain parts of the film, which is really interesting, and he says that he's fascinated by Early and even sort of almost looks up to him in a weird way, looks up to the fact that he does whatever he wants whenever he wants and doesn't think about anybody else but doing what he wants. And this becomes clear when they're at a bar and some dude starts mouthing off to him and he just like hits him with a bottle, and it just instantaneously and it all sort of unravels in the end, and it probably goes where you think it goes. I think this movie is really cool. It bombed at the box office. It it made $2.4 million on an $8.5 million budget.
I don't get that, man. I mean, David Duchovny at the time was super popular.
The time period, I think that he's from the X-Files, right?
Yeah, and the show was like uber popular. Brad Pitt's Brad Pitt.
What year did the X-Files start?
Juliette Lewis.
Was Brad Pitt in '93?
Yeah.
This was like when he first started making the heartthrob transition to like actual serious roles, but I think it was still early.
It was early, but I mean, by '93, Brad Pitt was still, he had been. I mean, fuck, man, he was Interview with the Vampire a couple years before. Fucking
after.
Was it after?
Yeah, year after.
94,
was it 94?
Right?
Oh yeah, I was thinking it was 92. Yeah.
So this is he did.
He did like a River Run
Cutting Class in '89. He did Across the Tracks, Thelma and Louise.
He had the tiny ass part in True Romance as a stoner.
That was after.
I thought that was like 91 or 2.
It's 93.
Oh
93.
shit!
This came out in 93 as well. Yeah, I mean, he really had. Yeah, he wasn't Brad Pitt yet, bro. Definitely not. You look at the filmography; he was barely in anything.
It's Bradley.
He was
Bradley Pitt.
Yeah, maybe. Shit. I don't know. I haven't really.
I would say after this, you figure after this, Interview with the Vampire, Legends of the Fall, 7, 12 Monkeys, Sleepers, Fight Club. Yeah, I think that I think it's right after this. But yeah, so I don't know. I think that it was art house. It's definitely art house. It seemed, when you look back at the early 90s, right, like 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, the festival films, like this was one of them. And I just think that those didn't do well commercially, but they wow, this won Best Horror Film in 1994. By who, though? Saturn Awards for Best Horror Film. Huh.
I wonder what the other nominees were. Did it say?
Horror film? What the that's how in what year? 92 or 93? Do you say?
93. But it came out in 93 festival wise, but 94 for the Saturn Awards. Let's see. 94. The nominees were The Dark Half.
Okay.
Army of Darkness. The Good Son, which is a thriller. Hard Target.
Hard Target with Van Damme.
Needful Things, and The Vanishing.
Wow.
How the fuck is Hard Target a horror movie? It's like a fucking Van Damme on the run.
That doesn't make
It's like a John Woo movie, I think. Like one of John Woo's first American movies.
Hard Target, he's got the greatest mullet in that movie too, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is a Saturn Award, so maybe they stretch it.
Apt Pupil won in 1998.
Apt Pupil?
That's another Stephen King story. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I haven't. What are the Saturn? Oh, this is kind of cool.
It's like an indie awards type thing, I think.
Yeah, I never really looked at these, but it's cool seeing what all won.
Oh, yeah, Brad Pitt did. That's right, he was Johnny Suede. Fuck, that was before that, too.
What year was
Blackula won in 1972. How about that?
What year was fucking Cool World? Because he was in that, too.
Yeah, that was 92. That was the same year that he did A River Runs Through It, which I remember from that, too. So he was starting to gain steam for sure.
Yeah, he was around, but
yeah,
I think like
he wasn't
Seven kind of Interview with the Vampire, maybe Seven kind of put him on that role.
I gotta say, man, it's got to be Interview with the Vampire is probably like a huge break. Well, no, Interview was probably a huge breakout role for him.
Yeah, Interview for sure.
And then Seven, and then 12 Monkeys. Yeah, and then his career just went. He was in massive films, but yeah, A River Runs Through It, man. That's a pretty good movie. So it's good.
Anyway, I actually really like this movie. I think that it kind of goes a little downhill towards the final act. It's still good, but I'm much more like the psychological aspects of the beginning, because you sort of have this like the girlfriend of David Duchovny knows that something, like she gets a bad vibe from him, but David Duchovny sort of likes Brad Pitt in a weird way. There's talks that Brad Pitt's abusing Juliette Lewis, and the girl really doesn't like that. But it's pretty good. I gave it. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I thought David Duchovny's kind of the whole story about his fascination with Brad Pitt's character, at least through like the first two acts before. Like he even becomes too much for him too, but I thought that was like pretty cool and interesting. Where it's almost like he knows there's probably some bad news going on there, but he's almost like willing to let it slide until it becomes like too much of a problem. But the warning signs are there.
Mm-hmm. So I will say that I give it a 7.5 out of 10.
Cool, Mikey.
All right, so I also watched a movie called Little Monsters, not the Fred Savage movie. This is a Hulu original.
That would have been perfect with your animated Addams Family movie.
Yeah, I know, really.
I love Little Monsters, man.
Yeah, that was a childhood, like a regular rotation.
Who pissed in my apple juice?
Who pissed in my... Didn't they put cat food in a sandwich,
cat food instead of tuna, yeah.
So this one's a Hulu original. There's been ads for it, on social media and stuff. I'm assuming you guys know the movie I'm talking about, right? This year. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's Lupita is in this one. We should all recognize her. I think most of the rest of the cast is not anyone I know, but basically the setup is she plays like a teacher / musician, and they take the kids to sometimes it's not really like a summer camp, it's more like a field trip, and a zombie outbreak happens. Now here's another I know we kind of talked about this earlier in the news, but I think this is another case of a movie where like the trailer really made it seem like it was going to be like this over the top crazy zombie movie, and there is like a handful of stuff going on with the zombies. They're there, but to me this movie seemed much more like comedy with zombies kind of in it than really like a zombie movie. I think one of the things that's a detriment to this movie, at least the kind of movie I was hoping for, was they spent way too much time on like this totally forced romance between. So you have Lucas, she plays like the teacher. Of course, she's like the perfect woman character, and there's the main guy in it. at the very beginning of the movie, and it's weird too because at the very beginning of the movie he goes through like a breakup, and that whole sequence takes so long that I almost thought I was watching the wrong movie. I was like, what the hell? Like, why are they spending so much time? So it basically sets it up to where he, of course, gets with her, but they do the whole thing where like when they first meet, they're opposites. He's like, this kind of idiot dummy that never knew how to treat past girlfriends right. She's like the perfect catch, and they don't like each other at first. And, the more she spends time with him, the more she sees the good qualities. And then there's like a scene later on where he sings a song, and as soon as the camera goes to her, I was like, oh my God, they're not doing the thing where she falls in love with him after knowing him for a day, are they? That shit gives me anxiety because it's so unrealistic. Like, it bugs me when movies do that, but that's what this is. That's what this movie did. To me, the movie is okay. It's all right. But I think if people are going into it expecting like this crazy over the top carnage movie with zombie stuff going on all the time, that's not it. I think the only person I've talked to that's actually seen it so far that I know of is Gary Hill, and I think he liked it a little bit more than me. But when I told him like my criticisms of it, he kind of agreed. So if I had to rate this, unfortunately I'm going to say like a 5 because I don't think it's a bad movie. It's not poorly made. But it's not really my kind of zombie comedy movie. I for most of the people I would say if this is on your list of stuff to watch, kind of wait on it. Watch other stuff first, and you get around to this one later.
I'm not gonna lie, man. I was actually gonna watch this the other night, and I read the synopsis, and it was like, nice. A washed-up musician teams up with a teacher, and kids show personality to protect young children from a sudden outbreak of zombies. And I was like, fuck, it's a zombie movie. I thought it was gonna be like a little monster movie, and then I looked at the top, and it was like comedy first before horror, and I was like, no, thank you. Completely passed on it.
There's like plenty of opportunities and scenes in this movie where you think it's going to turn over that leaf and be like, okay, here we go, and it just doesn't happen. And it's like, I don't know. That's why it just was. To me, the movie first and foremost is about their relationship happening, and that's why I was just like, man, why does this movie have to be this? But that's fine. Not movies. Not every movie's going to be for me, so that's cool. But if like what I described appeals to anyone, I would go ahead and check it out. It's not a poorly made movie or anything like that. The acting is fine. Lupita's great. She's been. I haven't seen her in tons of things, but everything she's been in, she's been good. So it's nothing about that. It's just. I was just kind of disappointed that it was more comedy and romance, and I would say ham-fisted romance, unrealistic romance. But most romantic comedies are that probably anyway. So, yeah. I just don't have time for zom-coms anymore for some reason. Unless they're, One Cut of the Dead, I guess, was pretty, it was really good, but it just seems like there's so many misses compared to hits in that zom-com genre. And they don't make as many anymore. Like, you can tell the zombie genre is really kind of fucking slowed down, drastically from what was it, the start of the 2000 teens, into the mid 2000s. It was fucking crazy, man. It was zombie movies coming out left and right every week, a lot of zom-coms, a lot of shitty ones. And it just got so played out. It was found footage oversaturated the market, then it was oversaturated with fucking zombies. And I think honestly it's because, what I think is happening is that The Walking Dead is losing so much steam, and so many people are just fed up with it. It's gone on way too fucking long, and they're just not making them anymore, because I think once that lost steam, it was nope, we got to go do something else. They're so fed up with it. They're making a second spin-off show early 2020.
I don't get it, dude. I don't know how these things still have that much. I don't know, man.
And they're making movies, so I don't know. But anyway, maybe they're running the numbers and it's still successful enough.
Well, lo and behold, even this year, I don't think I've really watched more than one or two. I think the only zom-com I've even seen this year was One Cut of the Dead.
Yeah, it's like all these people see Shaun of the Dead and they take the wrong lessons from it. Because I mean, Shaun of the Dead, he has the breakup and obviously he wants to still get with her, but his trying to get back with her doesn't feel like it's the main plot of the movie. You know, that's kind of going on in the background, but it does such a good job of being. I mean, yes, it is funny. It's a lot of comedy in it, but it feels like it's still like a zombie movie, and then the other stuff is just kind of like side stuff. But then little monsters, it feels like the entire movie is just a device for these two characters to have their romance or their falling in love thing. And I'm just like, man. And then the last scene, I won't even get into it, but I was just like pissed off. I was like, man, the hell with this.
Yeah, out of that trilogy, man, that's my least favorite one for sure. Shaun of the Dead. Oh man, I think most people know my feelings. I'm not the hugest fan of it. It's like it's that fucking movie. It even like when you're describing this movie, it relates back to it become that staple film in the 2000s that everything has to be compared to.
Well, yeah, it's the same thing, like totally unrelated to zombie comedies, but like the way how Scream was such a success and everything had to follow that prototype, and most people did it not nearly as good.
Yeah, I agree, man. Little Monsters, though, that's they kind of stole that awesome title from a Fred Savage movie. Come on.
I know.
That's funny. Oh well. Now I actually want to watch that movie. Did they
the Fred Savage one?
Did they ever release that on Blu-ray? I'm not even sure because I know the DVD was out of print forever. It was like hard to find. I don't know.
That's a good question.
That's annoying. But yeah, now I really want to watch Little Monsters. Fuck. Okay, so moving along here, man. Not a Patreon pick, but one that I watched the other night. I just felt like I had to talk about this because I was absolutely fucking dying laughing during this movie. Not necessarily in a good way, but I was laughing pretty good. This is actually so fucking... All right, it's from 2019, and it's called The Drone. I guess it was, it was inevitable that somebody was going to make a movie about a killer drone. I mean... Everything else has been utilized. We watched a movie earlier this year, me and Mikey, called Killer Sofa. This got to have the killer drone, right? Mm-hmm. So basically, this movie is about this serial killer that stalks his victims using a drone. This is the beginning of the film. And, of course, the police catch on to him. They track him down, and they shoot and kill him and stuff right by his drone. And he somehow transfers his soul into the drone. Does that sound familiar? Of course it does, because that's fucking Child's Play. It's the same fucking story, man. So, yeah, so this serial killer transfers his body into this, or his soul into this drone. Then we jump into our main narrative where this newlywed couple, they've just bought this house. She's like a home architect, and he's like a model photographer, and they're doing really well. They've got this really beautiful house and stuff. Anyways, as they're unpacking and stuff, the husband comes in and he's like, "Hey, look, there's a drone on the front yard." And I'm like, "What the fuck?" Of course it's there because the backstory is with the serial killer is that his new wife, that used to be her old boyfriend back in the day, and she got a restraining order because he was all in fucking saying blah, blah, blah. So, of course, this drone ends up at their place, and now the drone is stalking them, essentially trying to break him up with her by setting him up for murder and things like that, and it just goes crazy. So my thoughts on the movie? This is crazy. This movie, this has to be the most 90s feeling film I've ever seen besides a 90s movie. If that makes any sense. This is 2019. I don't know if they did this purposely or if this is like an inside joke, maybe to get people to, kind of an inside joke. I don't know what the hell's going on here, but this movie has everything aesthetically wise, cinematography wise, acting, cheesy lines, the effects, the shitty ass, like, that kind of CG'd in like lightning bolt shit that would, we'd see in the late 80s, early 90s and stuff. It's got that type of effects to it. It's really fucking 90s, like the whole thing. And it managed to keep that whole tone and that whole kind of 90s feel through the whole movie. I was like, how are they doing this? At times it felt like it was full moon, but then mixed with like a shitty ass 90s TV film and stuff. It was really strange how they managed to capture this. It was so funny. Like the dialogue was insanely cheesy. So many bad lines and stuff, but just the whole plot line of this, this fucking drone, of course the wife is like, there's something up with this drone. It keeps like coming alive and flying around the house all by itself. And so there's all these stupid scenes where the husband goes to the electronics store and he's like, you know what? This, I was just moved into this house and I lost my remote for my drone. And, can you replace this? And he's like, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. Shit like that. It's just fucking so stupid. Anyways, there's so many scenes in this film where the wife is like doing her drawings and stuff. And this thing's like flying around. I'm like, how is she not fucking hearing this thing? Is it like stealth? It's like a stealth drone or some shit. Like you can't hear it or fucking apparently see it. It was just crazy to me, man. But so many ridiculous things, but just the fact that the way this drone was setting someone up, it was all basically kind of computerized. Like, the drone would go out and take pictures of the neighbors and upload it into the computer, and the drone ended up killing the neighbor and blah, blah, blah and stuff. And then he put all the evidence on his computer and emailed it to the fucking police. So of course he becomes like a prime suspect, and it's just like all this ridiculousness. But then it gets even more stupid when the drone shows up at his brother's house. And then, like, after, like, a minute conversation, he's like, brother, is that you? Oh, fuck, you want me? And then they're sitting down, like, having fucking tea, pretty much. And he's like, yo, man, you got to help me get out of this shit. And I'm like, oh, my God, this movie is, like, not happening right now. It's ridiculous. It was entertaining, but so fucking bad. Like, it was super, super bad. And I felt bad, man. The drone killed this dog, and it was kind of sad because I don't like when they kill dogs in movies, man. I got sad about it, man. I don't like that shit. You didn't have to kill the fucking dog. Speaking of dogs, can you guys hear that?
Yeah, someone trying to kill your dog?
Yeah, fuck it. Apparently the wife just let out my 3 dogs and the bigger one, as you can hear. Wow. But yeah, the movie was kind of, it's so stupid. If you like old full moon movies and, like 90s feeling type films, just really, really uber cheesy and really cheesy effects. Like, I just couldn't get over how this film felt like it should have been made in the 90s. It's crazy to me. It's absolutely insane. I can't really recommend it. I mean, I'm going to give this movie like a 4 out of 10, even though I kind of enjoyed it because it was kind of stupid and fun. But it's just one you got to see to believe, man. Like, if you're a fan of 90s movies, like, I really enjoy watching 90s movies just for a lot of different reasons. But it was crazy the feel to this, man. It's actually from the same director that did Zombievers, but totally different type of film. Zombievers feels like it should have been made in the year it came out in 2014. This movie, made in 2019, no, should have came out in like 1996. It's really strange. But yeah, that's the drone. I seen, was it fucking Jason Lloyd actually had a little bit of a review on this one. I think he gave it like 7.25. And Jason, if you're listening, man, that's annoying as fuck. What's with the quarter ratings, man? Come on. Like, I really don't understand that. But in his little write-up, he said that this movie, if it had better kills and, the CG wasn't there and shit like that, he's like, this would definitely be destined to be a cult classic. I'm like, what the fuck? That was like the greatest review ever, but yeah, no. 4 out of 10, The Drone, 2019. Check it out at your own discretion because it's pretty bad, but also kind of fun. So that's going to do it for Dubs. Let's get into this bonus review.
Hey yo, it's about that time for the 22 Shots crew to get buck wild and do what we do. You got that fatty in hand, so throw us a few, and we gon' hit your ass up with a bonus review. Alrighty, so getting into a bonus review for episode 163. This is a Patreon pick coming from Mark Lehem. I don't really know how to say his name properly. Just always pronounce it. It might come out normal if.
I think it's Letham.
Letham? That just sounds way too obvious.
I don't know, dude.
Maybe it's Letham. I don't know.
I'm like the last person to ask.
I don't know. That's just one of those. It looks like it should be pronounced the way it looks. I don't know, but I don't think it is. Anyways, this is coming from Mark Lechem. I think if you just kind of throw in that little thing, then it just automatically makes it sound correct. I don't know. Probably not. Maybe in my mind. But, it works in my own mind. He Patreoned a film from the year 2000, the glorious year of 2000. No, not really. It was not a good year. And this one
probably the weakest. Honestly, the weakest year of the 2000s.
Oh yeah, 2000 is pretty bad. I think we went through this one time, looked up some films, but this one is simply titled and cleverly titled Spiders.
I'm always like surprised whenever we get like films for featured reviews and there's really not an explanation. I'm just like, what the heck? like spiders.
You know what's funny about that? Actually, Mike asked me, he's like, why are we doing spiders? I'm like, it was Patreon. He's like, who the fuck Patreon spiders? I was like, I know, right? I mean, no offense, Mark, but it's just an oddball choice of a film to do.
It's funny because I did just pick up the trilogy on Blu-ray.
Is that trilogy Blu-ray these 3 spider films?
Yeah, it's Spiders 2, and then like one that came out like more recently.
You know what? I had no idea that there was a third one.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a Blu-ray 3-pack from, I think, Echo Bridge or Mill Creek.
Yeah, I know. I actually know it. I didn't realize it was these spider. I thought it was different ones. Because, I mean, really, Spiders is such a generic title. It could have been a million different movies.
Yeah, it's... Honestly, well, that's funny because, like, I have seen a million spider movies, especially from this era, like 90s, 2000s. They used to air on the Sci-Fi Channel all the time, and I had sworn I had seen this one. Like, even the cover looked familiar, but I don't think I had seen this one actually.
You know, I'd actually seen this movie. Was it a sci-fi film or not?
No, but like in the US, like they aired like any movie like this on the Sci-Fi Channel back when Sci-Fi Channel was good.
Yeah, because this actually does kind of have that sci-fi type TV feel to it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit. So, I mean, effect wise and casting, it just kind of feels like that. But anyways, getting into the synopsis, a DNA experiment on a rare breed of spider is taking place on a NASA space shuttle. And why the fuck would they do that? When a freak meteor shower engulfs the shuttle, causing everything to go horribly wrong. One survivor is found on the ship and watched over in a secret location deep in the California desert. The problem continues as the survivor isn't alone, as another deadly spider climbs out of him and goes on a rampage around the ship. Curious reporter Marcy, whatever the fuck, must now survive, escape, and warn everyone before the spider reaches outside the desert. That was just way too fucking long. I love people that write these things. That's why I like reading them out. Yeah, man. I was rewatching this film and I was like, okay, first off, why in the fuck would the government be doing spider testing on a NASA space shuttle? Doesn't that just seem insanely expensive when they could do the exact same research, really in one of their secret laboratories and save a lot of fucking money? Because let's face it, man, to put a shuttle up into space costs a damn lot of money. It's like ridiculous. I know that they were using like alien technology and stuff like that, but the point is, if they had it, they could use it on Earth, right? Am I not wrong? Am I right?
Yeah, I think one of the other things about this movie is like the characters feel as if like they're supposed to be these like 90s, early 2000s, like not what they're doing, right? Like these characters don't seem like they would be doing what they're doing, and it's almost like two movies were being made, like a teen horror film and but all the like they're supposed to be like journalist, like these characters should be like 30 something, you know what I mean? Well, like it doesn't fit.
The weird thing is that the journalist Marcy, she's not even working for like a high class like top newspaper and stuff. It's like a university or a college paper, and she's got like this huge scoop and stuff. I'm like, what the fuck?
It's so ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
I thought the beginning of this film was really fucking boring. I was like, man, when are we getting some spiders, dude? I'm totally bored with this.
You know what I think?
Yeah, I was getting angry.
All three of us are in the same boat with that one, because I think the first like 35 minutes of this movie is just it's Marcy.
I time checked it like 30 some minutes, and I was like, what the fuck is going on here? I was like, is this a damn spider movie or what?
Yeah, dude, it just follows this Marcy character and the rest of her crew. And then, of course, coincidentally enough, they're at the same location where this fucking shuttle comes back to Earth, burning through the atmosphere, right where they are. So then they get to investigate this shit. And I'm like, oh my God, this is that type of movie. But yeah, no, it takes a long time before we get any actual spider action in this, 35, 40 minutes or something like that. So I agree, man. The first, bit of this film is boring as shit, man. It really is. So I think just the whole narrative of this movie is just insane to me. Like, how they could ever sell the idea of them doing spider testing and trying to create this crazy technology in space, though. Why? Like, it doesn't even make sense to me.
Yeah, honestly, for this era of these type of movies, I'd say this is even worse than what you normally get in terms of plot. Like, usually the plot's pretty light, but like this one's almost like it's like they're trying to make it dumb.
Well, yeah, because I mean, it's just out to lunch. I mean, already just having giant spiders is already insane to do. But when you throw like how they're being created in there, it's just like, whoa, shit, dude. Like, but that was like the main problem with this film is the narrative doesn't have to be like that. You know, you don't have to set it up 35, 40 minutes into it and then finally get into your shit and stuff. And I don't know why they did it like that. The construction of this film is very odd to me. It's very odd for what they're trying to do. Like, they were trying to be overly serious with it at the same time, not be that serious, because there's actually a scene when they finally get into this government testing site and stuff, this secret government place where they're obviously doing lots of different type of testing, and they've got like cryogenetic, vaults and tombs and things like that. There's a scene which my favorite scene in the film is actually when they first go down there and she sees the cryogenic chamber for President Kennedy. And there was one right beside it for Jim Morrison. I was like, what the fuck? Like, it's just like this ridiculous. Did you notice that, JP? Like, they didn't have the President Kennedy name. It just has the date he was assassinated. But everybody knows that date. And then it said J. Morrison. I was like, oh my God, that's so fucking ridiculous. But it's kind of poking fun at the government where they're always covering up shit. They're always doing this kind of stuff, right? So I thought that was actually kind of funny. But that's the other thing. Like, it's like it has this like social commentary in the film about government cover-ups and how ridiculous they can be and shit. And it's kind of funny that they even went that route with this ridiculous narrative. It's kind of funny, but I mean, I will say though, the spider for the most part is kind of practical. They do throw in some CG, which is pretty shoddy. There's actually a fucking scene in this movie. I laugh so fucking hard, man. It's her and her cameraman, I believe, and they end up falling down this huge shaft, and they get tangled up in this monster spider web, and it's like, it's obviously the way it's constructed is so fucking funny looking. It's hilarious, but when they're falling, the effect on that. Oh man, dude, I was pissing myself. It just looks so damn funny. But I mean, I will give them props though. They actually did have some practical effects in this, the big giant ass spiders and stuff, and so I mean that's kind of a plus.
That was a saving grace.
Yeah, and I actually thought the movie was over, and then there was like a long, big scene at the end that I didn't expect.
Yeah, there's like a third act, and then there was like a third act B.
Yeah, third act plus.
Yeah, it goes insane. I mean, there's this whole scene where we've got Marcy. She's hanging from a helicopter, and she's got this rocket launcher. It goes into straight sci-fi territory. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, like I don't know.
I like my creature features a little bit, especially like the nature run amok ones or like giant spider, like giant anything ones. I don't know. I just like them to be a little bit different. This one just didn't feel like traditional to me. And I think that when you move away from what works with these, it just kind of loses me a little bit.
Yeah, man. What's with the fucking, the government agent? The guy, he was like kind of, he looked like a William Dafoe lookalike or some shit. Like, this guy was like dead fucking serious. He was like taking out like top ranked military officials and he's just like capping them off and stuff. I'm like, holy fuck, dude. Like, this guy's crazy. Like, what the hell is with that guy? I don't know. I'm not sure what his name was, but.
Mike, do you have anything on this one?
I mean, the first, 30, 40 minutes were criminally boring.
Yeah.
I was like, I think I even like the first time I threw it on, I took so little away from that first part that I was like, I have to stop this and watch it from the start again because I was getting nothing.
You rewatched the first 35 minutes again?
I had to because I was like, is there really that little going on, or am I missing something? Like I was second guessing myself. I was like, was I just not paying attention? Because once in a while, sometimes with kids, if I'm watching something while they're awake or messing around or whatever, I'll get distracted. So I was like second guessing whether I had actually missed some like pertinent stuff. And then the second, I was like, no, that's just how bad this first act is. Once we actually get some spider stuff, it's like, okay, it's kind of, it's a saving grace, I guess. Some of the practical effects are good, some not so much that you can laugh at. But I'm not gonna go as far to say it makes up to make it like a great movie or anything. It might be not even good. Just like
there's this stupid shit like, when the shuttle crashes into the desert area there, it's like it doesn't explode. You know how fucking fast those things come into the earth, back into the layer. I'm like, that doesn't even make any fucking sense to me. It's ridiculous. Like that thing should have exploded in impact and probably killed them, and then we would have had no fucking movie. I don't know, man. Mm-hmm. It was kind of, I was chuckling through the whole thing. It's ridiculous. But I think it's a prime example of a film where, the first 35 minutes could have been shortened to like maybe 7 or 8 minutes. Right? This movie just felt way too fucking long to me. Way too long.
Yeah.
Just like, there's just way too much shit that's going, it's taking itself way too serious in the beginning. And it's just explanations ridiculous already. And I don't know. It's just one of those films that just feels messy. It's kind of boring. And then it gets kind of entertaining towards the end, but it's still really not that entertaining. I don't know. I will say the lead, she was pretty good looking, even though she had kind of like this big scar on her lip and shit, but she was kind of good looking.
Yep.
So.
All right. I gave it a 4.5.
Mikey.
I'm going a half lower than you, so I'm going 4.
Yeah, I was also in it a 4 too. It's fun. The part where she's like, Apollo 18. Wait a minute, there was no Apollo 18. It's like, fuck, come on, man. We've already established that there's a lot of government cover-ups here, man. Now we got to throw in the Apollo 18. I just thought I'd mention that. It's kind of funny to me. But yeah, no, not a great movie at all. Very, very odd choice. Well, at least he didn't make us watch the second one too.
Is the second one any better, or is it along the same lines?
I've never seen it before.
I feel like I've probably seen the second one, but I don't know. I have to see it.
I watched the first one on Tubi, and the second one's also on there.
Yeah.
Not that I was like jumping at the chance to watch it, but I'm just curious since you said you bought the pack, right?
Yeah, I haven't watched it.
You know what was absolutely ridiculous? So we have this Google Patreon page, and Jeremy will throw the links for movies and stuff if they're online or whatever, if we need to do it that way. Of course, This movie I didn't own, and he's got the Tubi link for it, and I'm like, okay, cool, I'll just watch it on Tubi, awesome. So I go to Tubi, type in spiders, not there, it's not on the Canadian Tubi. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? It's spiders, man.
There's probably nothing on the Canadian Tubi.
Actually, there's a shit ton. I was quite surprised, man. I mean,
Tubi's actually kind of on point, dude. There's a lot of cool stuff on Tubi.
Well, just put it this way. I mean, compared to Netflix, Canadian Netflix, holy fuck, Tubi blows it out the frame, dude.
Dude, even American
Netflix sucks, dude. I look at the horror and I'm like, what the fuck?
Dude, I'm not joking. They've only put maybe 3 or 4 new horror movies on Canadian Netflix all year. There's like nothing new, and they keep taking out some of these old ones, replace them with some other shoddy older films too that I already own physical copies for probably, and
the only thing Netflix is good for is original programming now.
Yeah,
like I never go on there just to browse their movie section. Now, once in a while there'll be like random things that just kind of drop out of nowhere that I'm like, oh okay, I'll check it out. But man, it's pretty much Netflix is basically HBO now. Watch it for like original programming, and that's about it, because I don't really tune into HBO to watch movies either.
Dude, I absolutely 100% agree, man. Netflix is like the only time I ever watch it is just for like the Netflix originals, but I'm kind of like that with Shudder though too, because I'm not saying Shudder doesn't have good films on there. Shudder actually has a pretty good, selection of decent movies and stuff on there, but I mean for the most part I own pretty much all those, so I go there for the exclusives, which is kind of cool. So
yeah, Shudder does a good job, I think, of getting a lot of like festival stuff like straight onto there, where like if it wasn't for Shudder, it would have taken so much longer to get to like a place like Netflix,
Yeah, and now they've got that, and they're starting to do their own shows and stuff, which is like Tales from the Crypt, and which is I'm actually enjoying the shit out of, man.
I've been pleased as hell with it.
Dude, Shudder kicks major ass, dude. I love Shudder.
I have to say, man, from the first 5 minutes of the first episode, I was like, man, I have a feeling this is going to be really good. And the reason for that, because when they show like the creep show dude, just kind of like the crypt keeper or whatever.
The creep?
Yeah.
Is that what they call him? The creep?
Is it the creep? Yeah. But it was like really good. It just reminded me of like, you know, Tales from the Crypt, like, you know, with the crypt keeper, man.
Yeah, creep.
No, I meant like the beginning of Tales from the Crypt with the crypt keeper and shit like that,
like
right?
The intro.
Like the intro. It just kind of reminded me of that, and I was like, oh wow, this is actually pretty well done for creep show. I think I said Tales from the Crypt before, but anyways, this is really good for creep show, and I was like, wow, I wonder how the episode's gonna be. And then I was like, so far through the first 3 have all been really good, and I'm like, this is fucking awesome, man. Really enjoying it.
I love how they use like comic panels when they do montage stuff. Like it's nice that they're putting like the actual creep show touches in there.
I think it's constructed very well, and you know the addition of the comics and you know the turning the pages and stuff. It's all really well done. The graphics, like the animation, is awesome. It's really well done, and it's good to see that you're seeing some cool actors and stuff in there. And
each episode flies by because they're only a total of like 45 minutes, so each story is like 20-25.
Yeah, I think the first story is always a little bit shorter than the second one, but I really like the one with DJ Qualls that was just recently. I like that story. That was kind of cool.
Oh yeah, that was my favorite one.
Yeah,
Bob.
It was just cool to see DJ Qualls in a role like that. It was just fun. Because it was one of those kind of episodes where I believe he was even breaking the fourth wall in it and stuff, and it didn't feel cheesy, you know. It felt right in that situation. It was kind of cool because
and those practicals on that little creature thing was awesome. The little mini xenomorph.
Exactly. Yeah, dude. I really enjoyed that. I thought that was excellent and really piqued my interest.
That's my favorite one.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, it's never a bad thing when they keep getting better. When the first one is good and they keep getting better, I mean, you can't really ask for anything more than that. So.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Jeremy rated Spiders a 6 out of 10.
What? What the fuck is going on here? Last week with his wrinkles
Jeremy
rating?
and Ellie.
Jeremy and Ellie? That's amazing, dude. Jeremy and Ellie. Oh, that's his new name. That's his reborn name right there. Man. Who would have ever thought that Jeremy would become the high rater on the show, considering he hates everything? He gave Wrinkles a 7, for fuck's sakes. It's insane. I gave it a fucking 2.
I still don't think that's insane, honestly.
Dude, it's so bad. Oh, it's fucking bad. Oh, I just hated the shit out of that, man. But seriously, like, what did you give it?
I think like a 6.5.
Yeah, maybe. you were insane too. You guys are on the 3rd floor right now with that shit.
And now, our feature presentation.
Let's get into the featured reviews here on episode 163. I think I'm saying that right. I don't even know. Is it 163? I always forget by the end of the show. I have like the worst memory. Which is...
No, it should be 164, I believe.
Probably. Doesn't matter. It really does not matter. People aren't going to click out of it. Well, they might click out of it, but... yeah, so this is going to be, I don't know, I'm assuming probably Nunsploitation Volume 1. We'll probably end up doing more of these. I like Nunsploitation. It's kind of a fun, sleazy subgenre of exploitation / horror and stuff. And I've been wanting to do one of these shows for a long time. I think I mentioned this a couple years ago, and of course, I was shot down as usual by the other 2 hosts on this show, as usual. Because it seems like every idea I have is really shitty.
Wait, what? You were shot down?
I brought up the Nunsploitation a couple years ago, and Jeremy was like, I don't want to fucking do that.
I don't remember that, because I've always liked Nunsploitation.
Well, no, I was more referring to Jeremy. But no, it definitely
he doesn't want to do anything.
It definitely wasn't the Jean Rollin thing where you guys were just harping on me. They're like, I don't want to fucking do Jean Rollin.
Yeah, I actually ended up liking those.
Yeah, I know. That was the irony. And it was so beautiful to find that out, too. And I was like, I told you, man, that you might enjoy these. Even Jeremy didn't mind them.
No, he didn't watch them.
Oh, yeah.
We had Derek on that show.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I must be thinking of something else. Anyways, first up for Nunsploitation,
1975's Satanico Pandemonium. And like we said last week, you probably recognize the name Satanico Pandemonium because it was used in a very, very popular film in 1996 with the title of From Dusk Till Dawn. Selma Hayek's character is actually named after this movie, which is kind of an interesting little factoid. But that's Quentin Tarantino for you, though. I mean, he throws in little nods to films, and all of his movies are filled with these type of things. But that's where the name comes from. So, Satanico Pandemonium, which is such a fantastic title for a film. I absolutely love that title. It's so great. Synopsis. A young nun is tempted by visions of forbidden sexual fantasies to cross over to Satan. Yeah. That sounds like a good time. Thoughts on the movie?
I liked it a lot. To open things up.
Yeah, I liked it a lot too. I thought it was really freaking dope. I know Jeremy didn't like it.
Yeah, he said it was
really boring.
He said it was boring, which I don't understand how it's boring. I mean, there's really not a lot of downtime, and it kind of gets right into it right away.
Well, I mean, it's a lot of watching a character do something. You know what I mean?
Well,
it's not like...
But I believe...
there's not like a ton of action, I guess, maybe?
Well, I think that the narrative here actually... Pretty much everything that you're being exposed to, what you're seeing, is important to the narrative because our main character, Sister Maria, which I would say is very, very sexy for a nun. I mean, just doesn't really make any sense to me because nuns generally don't look like Sister Maria.
Maria.
Gotta say Maria like that. But I think what we're seeing, I mean, it is a little bit of a build-up, but it's for her character, too. It makes a lot of sense because Sister Maria... within the convent is very much looked upon by everybody else in there. Like everybody that has an issue with something, like there's a black nun, and this is taking place during like the Inquisition of like the 1600s and stuff. So, you know, I mean, obviously there's, you know, what's going on there and stuff, but you know, she's got issues and other girls have issues and stuff. And they come to Sister Maria because they all trust her and she's the most trustworthy one. She's the most headstrong. She's the best at what she does. You know, she's the one that can be trusted and stuff like that. And it makes actually a lot of sense in contrast to why, you know, Satan would try to, you know, get into her because if he can turn her, he knows that, you know, she's going to be the best at what she does and she's going to, you know, help gain that power, you know, for Satan himself. And I like that. I kind of like that setup and that build up because it shows her in a lot of different situations helping out these girls, which later on in the film you take those same type of scenes and now once she gets possessed by the devil and stuff and, you know, she ultimately is kind of she's on the opposite side now and she's doing the complete opposite of what she did before with these girls. So I think all that's actually very, you know, it's good that they showed that in the narrative, in my opinion. I don't think it's boring at all.
You ever just wonder if like there just wasn't as many big boobed women back in the 70s? It's like every girl in these movies always has like smaller boobs,
little bee stings and stuff. I think truly, I don't know if it's
or do you think it was a casting choice all the time?
I truly think maybe so because I mean, even though Maria actually is pretty fucking sexy, she does have small boobs, but I don't know. Maybe it is a casting thing. Maybe if you,
I'm not saying they're bad boobs. I'm just saying
there was probably less fake titties back then.
Oh
well, there was no fake titties back then.
100%.
Not in '75.
I don't know when they started doing implants.
They just weren't as prevalent back then.
I have no idea. I've never actually looked into the history of implants.
I mean, they might like here and there, but like definitely like.
I mean, now it's like chicks get off the plane in Los Angeles, and that's like probably their first stop.
Exactly. I just feel like it is a casting thing. You know, I think that you know having smaller boobs, it's more realistic too. Like if you have these voluptuous nuns, it just seems like it's kind of it seems a little bit comedic to me. Like how many nuns do you know that have like these giant, enormous boobs and are sexy? Like it just doesn't make...
I don't know very many nuns.
I don't know any nuns.
Well, I mean, I don't really know, but I would assume that not too many nuns look like fucking, you know, beach bimbos and shit. So maybe it is a casting thing. I don't know, but I do understand what you're saying because most of these women kind of have bee stings and shit. It's kind of funny, but
mosquito
bites and shit. But yeah, no, I really like when Nunsploitations take place when they're period pieces because it kind of makes sense to me. It makes the setting a lot more
in my opinion, traditional. Like these old convents are basically like these huge castles in a sense, man. They're just ridiculous.
Yeah, I like the setting for sure. Like even you spend a lot of time in just her room, and it's just like this stone looking fucking simple ass room with like one barred window. Mm-hmm. Like whenever she's like putting the thorn thing on her and whipping herself and stuff like that. It's like this one camera shot from like one angle of the room like the entire time.
yeah. You know, it's funny too because you look at these scenes and you're like, man, to us it looks like jail, but to them it's like heaven. You know?
Yeah,
it's
weird. Convent.
Yeah.
I always find this kind of era of like Nunsploitation interesting because a lot of when they start, you know, quote unquote accepting Satan or the devil, a lot of it has to do with women's sexuality, and because of when these movies came out, it makes me wonder. It's like, is this the director and the writer and the movie trying to be a commentary on kind of like how religion, or in these cases more Catholicism itself, is like a handcuff on women, and like, or like, is it a commentary to say like that's bad, that it kind of represses their sexuality, or is it almost like a pro Catholicism, like don't dabble in this, you know? Because I would contrast it with a movie like The Witch. Now in The Witch, Tomlinson is not a nun by any means, but the way The Witch ends, and sorry if it's kind of a spoiler, it's almost as if she's almost becoming free to be what she wants at the end, where it obviously doesn't end that. She dabbles in kind of like her sexuality, but in the end it comes full circle and she ends up, you know, paying the price.
You know, I've always thought this too about Nunsploitation films and, you know, the sexuality aspect of these films. Like if I've ever learnt one thing from watching Nunsploitation films is that, you know, it's definitely struck in my head and it's imprinted in my mind that every nun is a lesbian, apparently. It's like the most fucked and weird thing because it doesn't matter what Nunsploitation film you watch, there's going to be fucking lesbian action in it. There always is in every single film. It's crazy. But to answer what you're saying, Mike, I've thought about this before too, and it seems to me in this narrative, I think the easiest way to basically get her, to possess her, you know, to make her cross over to the dark side, commit that evil sin, is as simple as, you know, making her do something sexually. Because I think that's the easiest way to get someone to do something sinful, you know, instead of making, you know, I mean, if he has to make her do something sinful to get her, right? And I think sexuality is in everybody's mind. It's temptation.
That's the most temptation.
Exactly. And sexuality is one of those things where people are just so tempted by it. Like if you said to her, if you tried to get her to murder somebody, she's not going to do that, right? She's going to be like, fuck you kind of thing. But I think with the sexuality, I mean, obviously the devil turns into a woman here and seduces her. And then once they start to kiss, that's when he's got her. He's possessed her. And I think that's just really the easiest way to do it. Because everybody's tempted by sex. Kiss. Everybody's tempted by sex, and you know, and obviously it's a sin within, you know, the Bible. I mean, premarital, anything, lesbianism. I mean, there's a lot of sins there. It's, you know, but
the devil had to kiss her other mouth to fully get her on board.
But I think it's done pretty well here. I think it's honestly done pretty well because, you know, at first you're like, yeah, here comes that fucking lesbian scene, and all of a sudden it's like, that's the devil doing his work, and it like in the way it happens, you're like, yeah, shit, totally. And then kind of gets you thinking because she was already going to be a hard bargain. So why not tempt her with the sexuality? Because she quite obviously was not buying into the whole forbidden fruit thing, which they shoved that, you know, that aspect right down your throat so many times, right? He's like eating the apple, throwing it to her, and she's not taking it and stuff, right? So, you know, she resisted that temptation of a nice healthy snack and a fucking Macintosh apple or something like that. So
yeah.
So you had to get her some other way, and to me it works perfectly. It's great.
Yeah, the quote unquote special effects cracked me up. It reminded me of like the old show Bewitched, when something had to appear in the head. You can just see the way the film cuts and like just something appears, and that cracked me up. But I mean, that's just a sign of budget in the times. Sure. Lucifer and the character, he definitely had to trick her because every time he would appear naked in the woods, she'd run away. Mm-hmm. I love how like she basically she's like trying to get it on with what was he, like a stable boy or something? And dude runs away.
Well,
I'm like,
that is I mean, I didn't age verify, but that is a kid, right?
I must.
Yeah, but at this point,
borderline.
she's possessed, right? So she's just basically trying to. I don't know.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying, like, she like kisses him and stuff.
Yeah. No, I know. Oh, yeah. Like in reality, like in the filmmaking aspect of, for sure. That must be odd for an actress.
Times, man.
Well, it's also Mexico.
It's a Mexican film, yeah. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe things are a little bit different. JP, you want to enlighten us on that? Or what? Yeah. No, it's definitely. I mean, it's interesting too because this movie was made right at the cusp of Mexican censorship too. So, you know, this movie kind of got in there, and I think with Alucarda, I think was made after the censorship came in, even though they're a couple years apart.
After, I think.
Yeah, Alucarda came out in '77, and I believe censorship. But that movie was also paired up as an American production, also. Hence why they speak English in the movie. So, but it's a Mexican U.S. But I think censorship had come in at that time. Maybe that's why they had to pair with the U.S. to kind of get their films out. But yeah, you can tell this is pre-censorship because right after the fact, a lot of these movies came out. They weren't like this. You weren't seeing films out of Mexico like this at all.
Yeah, I also read that. I can't remember if it was on the wiki page or I was just reading up on like the production, I guess. Because one of the things that was confusing to me is like the way the movie actually ends, where it almost gives you like did this shit really happen, or did she just have the plague and it was all like kind of fantasy going on in her head? And I read that in order to get it past the censorship, they had to end the film almost making it seem like it was a dream, and it like didn't happen because I guess that would justify. Oh look, it never really happened. She was just dying of the plague. Yeah. Even though no, that's not like no, that shit happened because too much. But they had to kind of film the ending to where it could be reasonable to say none of it actually happened.
Yeah, I actually had read that when I watched this movie years ago, and I was like, yep. That kind of makes sense, right? But it can, like, I mean, really, I mean, if that's what the filmmakers were trying to do, it's such a fucking cop-out because we all know that ending is like the most ridiculous thing. You have all this great stuff, and it's like, no, it's a fucking dream. Didn't happen. It didn't happen.
Yeah, I love the scene after. So she's done some murders. She's hiding out in the cave up there, and then like at first they're coming up there to like get her. They say to turn over to the Inquisition, and then. She at first she resists Lucifer, and then she accepts the bargain or whatever, and they take her back, and she's back at the convent, but like all the nuns are just like fucking dancing and singing half naked and stuff, and like that's kind of like the representation of like not hell so much, but just so much like, hey, that's all we want to like. Wow, they're so evil. They just want to sing and dance and have fun. It's just funny how things are viewed as like wicked and evil in certain eras, and like through the lens of like religion in some ways, how just women being women, like
it's also the freeing of their minds too, because
exactly
when you're in a convent situation, when you're a nun, like you're strict and you're married and bound to Jesus, right? So depicting them, and a lot of people will be like, oh, it's just straight exploitive, it's just they just want to show some naked bodies and stuff, but honestly, man, it's a sin, right, to what they're doing and stuff. So it's showing the evil side, and it kind of makes sense. I'm glad they do because it's kind of fun to watch. I could have done without. I think is there some schlongs in that scene too? I don't know, but maybe that's not Alucarda. But anyways, you know what I'm saying though. It's like showing that sexual side of them, and that's what they do in hell, man. They just have fiery singing and dancing sex orgies and shit.
Orgies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which there's like, I mean, that shit kind of makes sense in Alucarda too, the way it kind of goes down in that scene too. But we'll get to that in a minute. But I think there's some really good scenes actually towards the end of this film where you see Sister Maria, and she's kind of walking somewhere anyways, and like the sheep are following her, and it's just like straight symbolism to like, she's leading this herd of nuns into hell right now and shit like that. And I thought that was actually kind of well done the way they did that. Kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So they use some pretty cool imagery. It's pretty obvious, but
oh yeah, I mean, it's justified in a movie like this because obviously Nunsploitation, and with Mexico deeply rooted in Catholicism, especially back then, it makes sense for them to make a movie like this, and with the heavy symbolism and almost like putting it out there in the way that they did, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. This is the first time I've seen this one. The other movie I've seen before, and I always knew about this, that they existed, but I just another one of those ones that's kind of like on a list somewhere to watch, but finally got to do it.
You know, this movie actually does have a lot of... It's got pretty decent filmmaking and stuff, but you can tell it's super cheaply made. Like, you know, the scene where she's stabbing the shit out of that boy? You can literally see the retractable prop knife. Yeah. It's retracted.
Yeah, it looks good at first, but by like the... I don't know, fourth or fifth stab, you start noticing the retractable.
Yeah, because they didn't shy away from showing it.
Slow. Yeah, her stabbing's so like held back and just slow. It's like you're making it obvious here.
Well, it's like the scene too where I think Maria at the end there, or when she's in that where all the nuns are all naked and shit like that, and she stands up and she starts getting fucking stabbed up or whatever, and it's like, dude, that stabbing is like horrible. It's like fucking terrible, like absolutely terrible.
The blood looks like orange almost. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But there's one scene in this, you know, like towards the end where the nuns are actually digging, you know, these graves and shit like that. Like that, for some odd reason, watching nuns dig graves is like eerie to me. There's just something awkward and odd about nuns digging holes.
I was going to say, how many other times have you seen nuns dig graves?
I don't know. Maybe I just realized watching that again. I was like, this just seems so awkward and weird to me. I don't know what it is, man. It's just something you don't ever think about. I mean, why would you think about nuns digging holes anyways? But you know what I'm saying? It's just one of those things where you like, when you see it, you go, oh, that's very odd and strange. I don't know. I guess back in the day, they had to do everything. They didn't have people to do it for them, I guess, during the Inquisition days. The nuns had to dig the fucking holes and stuff.
I guess so, because like in this movie, it's pretty much all females. Like,
yeah, well, they kind of do everything. Yeah, there's really no males in the whole film, so they kind of accomplish and do everything themselves. It's really strange. I mean, I guess they can't always be just praying to Jesus or to God and stuff, so they got to be digging holes just in case they need to put someone in there. I don't know.
Exactly.
It's so fucking strange.
What do you think?
I like this one a lot. It's to me, it plays a lot more straight than the next one. Like the next one just amps shit up crazily.
Yeah, I mean a little bit, but yeah, no. This is I really enjoy this movie, man. It touches on a lot of different things and stuff, but it's not as in depth as like Alucarda kind of touches on a little bit more to do with certain things and stuff. But no, this is a fun one. I mean, it's got a lot of things going for it. It's got some decent cinematography at times, even though some of the transition shots, I think they use a couple different times for transitions, like that shot where they're kind of focusing in on the cliff in this film. I think it happens a couple times throughout the film, so yeah, a little bit low budget, I guess, but yeah. Ratings? Who wants to go first? Mikey?
I am gonna give this a 7. I liked it a lot. A first time watch, so it was brand new to me. I liked the main character. I thought she played a good kind of sympathetic character in peril because of giving into the devil. I thought she played a great conflicted character, but when she had to turn and like act evil, when the mom, or not the mom, the older nun confronts her and she's
Mother Superior.
Mother Superior, she's like, I have the devil on me, and I'll take the nuns to hell with, or whatever. I don't remember the exact dialogue, but I think the main character, they got a really good actress for it, and I think that really helps in a movie like this. So yeah, it's a strong movie. 7.
Yeah, I'm actually at the same rating too. 7 out of 10. It's good, man. It's got the location's amazing, man. It's got some decent atmosphere in it too. For a film that is Nunsploitation, but it's got some really kind of deep, dark moments in it and stuff. But I really like the organ music too. It's kind of somber, and the way it plays out through the film just really kind of adds to it, man. I don't know. I'm a big fan of that type of score, but it makes a lot of sense, right? Organ music, that's what you hear in churches and stuff, so it makes complete sense. But yeah, the narrative itself, I actually really enjoy the way it's done. The imagery, the obvious things that are going on in there and stuff. It's good. It's decent. Yeah, 7 out of 10.
Yep, right there with you. 7 out of 10.
Coolio. 7s all around. I wonder what Jeremy would have gave that.
I gave it a 5.
Did he really?
He likes spiders more than this.
Yep.
Fucking Jeremy and Nelly. Or Jeremy and Nelly or Jay Nelly or something, because something is not right with him.
Yeah. That is fucking... He's like turned strange on me or something. His ratings are just all over the place.
Wait, he used to not be strange?
No, even more. I think it's his working that's getting into his mind. He's conflicted and confused. Liking spiders more than Satanico Pandemonium. I would have gave fucking just a title of that movie higher than a 5.
Yeah.
I haven't fucking seen it, man.
Satan, 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 our Lord and Master, I acknowledge thee as my God and Prince. I promise to serve and obey thee as long as I shall live. I renounce the other God and all the saints. Don't listen to them. Don't listen to them.
All right, so jump in 2 years later into the 70s, 1977's Alucarda. Like I said before, this is a Mexican / USA production, directed by Juan Lopez Macalable. I don't know what the fuck this guy's name is, but I don't think I even said the director's name for the last one, but I digress. Alucarda is probably one of the more famous Nunsploitation films out there, in my humble opinion. But yeah, synopsis. After the death of her parents, a young girl arrives at a convent and brings a sinister presence with her. It is in her enigmatic imagery friend Alucarda who is to blame? Or is there a satanic force at work? That's not actually fully correct.
Because they meet a group of gypsies or some shit.
Yeah, no, like this synopsis actually is a little bit wrong because it says a young girl arrives at a convent and brings a sinister presence with her. It's not. See, Alucarda is the one that was already there, and she's the one that, you know, is kind of the huge possessed one in this one.
Yeah,
that's kind of interesting that they wrote it like that because it's actually not really true. Justine she was orphaned. She's the other main character in this, and she's the one that befriends Alucarda. Alucarda, in the beginning of the film, there's a scene where she's obviously being born, and her mom dies, shit like that. And Alucarda's raised in the convent, and so I was
a little confused, like as far as that scene goes, so that's Alucarda being born at the beginning, right?
Yeah, because the movie jumps 15 years later, and she's 15 years old. So and it specifically
were they implying that Alucarda was like her dad was Satan or something? Because when the mom gives birth, then you start hearing like the sounded like the devil like coming in there, right? Like, and then it almost seemed like she was like, "Take my baby, the baby has to survive, like get it away." And so why would she be like?
Well,
what have you done to its eyes?
I'm not 100%. See, I'm a little bit confused on it too because I feel like the mother's the one that gets kind of possessed because later on, after Alucarda and Justine become friends and stuff, they go frolicking through the hills, and there's this ridiculous scene where they're like rolling down the hills together, and I guess that's what people do.
It seemed like Alucarda was already kind of like a black sheep a little bit in the convent.
I think it's because she was there since birth, and she was just kind of always there and stuff, and maybe that's just they kind of projected her character like that. I don't really know, but I feel like the mother is the one that kind of got possessed because if you look at the scene where they are frolicking through the hills and then they meet these gypsies, that one gypsy, apparently, I think he is supposed to be the devil. And
the guy.
Yeah, so that main guy anyways. So they kind of meet these gypsies. They keep going and they go into this convent type, this old decrepit convent and shit. It kind of looks like they walk into the past. It's kind of a really dark and dreary scene. I really like it, actually. The whole set design on that is fantastic. They did a really good job at that. It's like
it looks like somewhere like Dracula would be hanging out.
Yeah, dude, it looks super, super creepy, man. They did a great job with just the look of that. So anyways, they go into this place where apparently Alucarda was born, and they eventually open up this tomb, and there's a body in there, and then something happens to, the big fucking smoke and shit comes out, and that's when Alucarda gets fucking possessed. So yeah, so that's how that becomes. And then Alucarda, of course, becomes, possessed, and she becomes bad. And then she's trying to get Justine to, start this blood pack and stuff like that, and eventually succeeds. And Justine actually becomes possessed herself like that. And of course, they're in a convent, so people are starting to notice this shit, and then they try to extinguish and exorcise them and shit like that. So, but yeah, I know what you're saying though, because like in that scene where she's being born, it does seem like she's being held as like the Satan's daughter. Maybe that's why she ends up getting possessed after she opens up that. I don't know. It's not really explained.
Yeah, I mean,
but that's definitely the scene where everything changes, where she gets possessed, and that was her mom in there.
Mm-hmm.
So because that was the place she was born, I don't know why it would be someone else, right? It doesn't really,
right? Yeah,
it doesn't make sense. It would be somebody else because then the narrative's just getting all fucking wonky there. But yeah, so that's basically the outline of the film. This one touches on a lot of different things. It touches on, there's a lot of scenes in this film where people are basically screaming out the hypocrisies of religion and stuff like that. You've got both ends of the spectrum. You've got the priests that are totally convinced that this is possession and they got to exercise, and it's all about the religious aspect of here. And then you got like these doctors that are totally like this shit is bullshit, and and then you got the girls that could get possessed, and they're literally like screaming out the hypocrisies and calling out religion and stuff like that because they're possessed by the devil and stuff. But I kind of like that social commentary too, because again, it was like, this was dealing with the times in Mexico and stuff. And I don't know what exactly, if religion was being pushed on some people or certain areas and stuff, but obviously the filmmaker was a little bit opposed to it, probably, in a sense, I would assume. So.
Mm-hmm. I would assume so.
Because they put a lot of dialogue into it, like, yeah, religion's fucking bullshit. They not in those words, but they're really kind of leaning towards that and stuff. They really attack it a lot with the possession. It's not just like these girls are possessed going around killing people. They get into, there's a lot of dialogue with it too, which I was really kind of surprised when I was rewatching. I was like, damn, they're really kind of spewing some shit here. So
yeah, definitely a lot more dialogue than the last film.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that too.
But I like it because they have a medium. They have a fine line between, they have arguments, like the priest is talking about the shit, and, you got the other aspect and you got the evil aspect of it and stuff. And I think the narrative is actually pretty well done in this for such a low budget short film. I mean, this movie only runs like under 75 minutes maybe. And they pack a lot of shit into this.
74 minutes.
Yeah, they pack a lot of shit into this movie, and it's actually kind of heavy if you're really into religion and the devil versus God and all that type of stuff. It's kind of heavy set with that. Filming wise, this movie is very fucking strange to me because I've seen this movie probably 3 or 4 times now, and every time I watch this film, it seems like it's filmed like a play.
Yeah.
Do you not get that? Like, the scene in the film
that's a good observation.
It feels like set pieces.
It does feel like that.
It feels like there's set pieces, and it like every scene is like a scene that you would see at a play. And there's a scene where
the curtains would close before they moved to each location. Yeah.
I mean, the very first scene that I really kind of thought about the whole play aspect was the scene where Alucarda and Justine, where Alucarda is trying to basically get Justine on the devil's side. And, there's the devil kind of appears, that gypsy devil or whatever. He peers out of the black, and that's like totally fucking playish. That's what you would see in a play. And then that whole scene kind of goes down where it's kind of like Satanico Pandemonium with the lesbian scene. And
yeah, I think in a lot of Nunsploitation, well, especially this era, sexual repression versus sexual awakening. Is it, and because there was also the sexual revolution going on in the world
for sure
at the time.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I think you see them kind of like freeing up to that, but then they turn around and what does like the convent do? Like they're punished for having a sexual awakening and like giving into like their sexual temptation because of the way religion, at least that interpretation of religion, kind of looks to block that off. And so I think that's a reoccurring theme in a lot of Nunsploitation, and I think they do it really well in this one. You have that huge dancing scene after they've been possessed, I think, or that's kind of like the completing of the ritual after the blood ritual.
Well, that's the scene, right? So the devil steps in, and then of course it's kind of like the Satanico Pandemonium thing where in that movie the devil is kind of shapeshifted itself into a female, and that's how he gets her. It's very similar in this scene where, she obviously succumbs to, well, in a sense, she kind of doesn't. It almost seems like Alucarda really forces it on her. Because, I mean, when she's sucking on her titty there, and fucking Justine screaming is the most awkward thing because they actually cut to her. You know, Alucarda's like sucking on her titty, and then they'll cut up to her face, and she's like, ah! And then it cuts back, and it does it like 3-4 times, and it's like getting awkward. You're like, fuck, come on, man, just go to the next scene.
Oh god, later in the movie, there's like 5 straight minutes of people just going, ah.
Yeah, dude. But yeah, that scene right there kind of leads into this huge sexual fucking fantastical orgy scene. It's really fucking.
That kind of reminded me of the end of The Witch. The end of The Witch when Tomlinson walks up and they're kind of doing their ritual and all that shit. You know, it just was reminiscent of that.
I love that scene though, man. It's very like a fantastical kind of. It just seems way out there the way it's doing. But again, going back to Satanico Pandemonium, they do the same shit with the whole sexual orgy and stuff. And I guess that's what happened. It's almost like a celebration. When you convert someone over to the other side, it's like, hey guys, we have to have this fucking naked orgy, this massive ridiculous fire.
It's because that is, you're breaking so many sins doing all that.
Well, that's what I said before, right?
Lesbianism, orgies, adultery, fucking.
That's what I said before. It totally makes perfect sense, and I'm glad that they use that type of imagery really to sell that whole idea, because I think a lot of people are just kind of seeing it for face value, like, oh, another fucking orgy that wasn't needed in the film. But
they're like reveling in the blasphemes.
Exactly. It's like one of the ultimate sins, because like you said, you're committing so many different type of sins, and it's the easiest way to get people to the other side, because everybody is sexual. Doesn't matter, apparently fucking nuns are too.
Not everybody.
Well, yeah, there's certain people that aren't.
Well, yeah.
That's like, different. Sexual and sexual active are two totally different things. But
yeah, that's why you go back. Yeah, you go back to the repression versus expression. Like,
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
it's part of like being
like Jeremy repression. Jeremy no expression.
There you go.
Yeah,
dude, have you ever listened to our top 50 episode for, what did we do that on, episode 150?
Yeah, our
dude,
50
every
films.
film in his top 50 was like about like sexual repression or fucking
or something just ultra depressing.
Dude, it's just ridiculous.
He watches this and is like, those bitches got what they deserved. But I really like this movie though. I like that it doesn't really hold back on anything.
No, and it kind of plays itself off The Exorcist a little bit too, right? Because this one, is hardcore with the demonic possession and stuff, and performing exorcisms and shit like that. I kind of like that. It's essentially, it's a Nunsploitation, but it's kind of an Exorcist ripoff too, right?
Yeah, you got Satanism, murder, demonic possession, exorcisms, orgies, lesbianism.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the money shot in this movie to me was the fucking blood coffin.
Yeah, dude. That's like one of my favorite fucking scenes, dude. I absolutely love that scene, man. It's so awesome. She looked
freaky as hell. Like when she sits up in there and the look on her face. I was like, and when she kind of comes after her, like the Mother Superior in this? Yeah. The version of Mother Superior in this one?
Yeah.
When she kind of comes after, it's totally like lo-fi and nothing special about the effects, but it just is acted so well. Like the look on her face, the expression, and just the way she's kind of like cat scratching at her is just so well done.
It's a great scene because it hasn't really been duplicated like that. She kind of, when she gets out of that coffin, he's just covered in fucking blood. It's like Carrie coming out of a coffin. It's totally fucking rad, and they don't even go over the fucking top with it either. Like I totally agree. It's such a great scene. It really is, man. It's like the highlight of the fucking movie for me. Like really good shit. The whole idea of a blood-filled coffin is just fucking amazing. But there's actually another really cool scene too. Like one of the other possessed people that apparently, I've always been kind of confused on that. How they. I remember watching this film before and being super confused even by that scene, because that's one of the scenes that comes right after. But when they find that body that's kind of like, been burnt up because, burns in hell kind of thing. And then the priest brings it back to kind of his lair or whatever. And he ends up having to chop the head off with this huge ass sword because it's still possessed and stuff. I used to think that was fucking Justine, right? Because because this is after they try to do the exorcism on Alucarda and Justine, and what happens in this scene, spoiler alert, Justine actually ends up dying in this scene. And so, but then she actually kind of reappears in this coffin type deal, and but that scene with the other person that was all burnt up and shit like that, who is that?
That's a good question.
The scene where, because
I know what you're talking about, because it takes like a couple chops, doesn't it?
Yeah, right. Because it's not Alucarda, because she's not. She's still alive, and I'm like, and I always, every time I watch this, I'm like, fuck, man, like, who is that? It must be just someone else. It must just be implying that someone else got possessed and obviously burnt up and stuff, because the priest has to deal with that himself. And
doesn't somebody get lit on fire at one point, or is that later that happens?
That's later.
Later, when Alucarda goes all carry on everyone.
Yeah, she goes like fucking super carry on people. Yeah, and it's got, I know, right? It's like an Exorcist carry ripoff, but done really well. But yeah, no, that scene has always been kind of confusing, but it's an important scene though too, where the priest cuts off the head and stuff, and then because that's the point in the film where it really convinces the guy that doesn't believe to be a believer, right. And like there's a lot of social commentary there too, right? And I really enjoy that because, like I said, this movie's spewing a lot of different type of dialogues and social commentaries, which, you probably wouldn't expect from, you think a Nunsploitation film that's more or less a ripoff of Exorcist and Carrie. So, but it definitely is its own thing. It definitely is its own thing. It's got really great imagery, and the whole end scene in this film is fucking great, man. It looks awesome.
Yeah, and it goes on for a while too. Like they definitely get their money's worth out of the fire.
Yeah, dude.
It's weird because this movie is the shorter of the two, but it feels longer
because they pack a lot of shit into this. I think.
Yeah.
I think that's
yeah. More stuff happens. That's why.
I like the
other one. The
nun versus
Satanic Pandemonium is like very slow burn.
I like the nun versus the Satanist chicks, like the spiritual showdown where they're both like kind of taking damage. You can tell they're like both trying to use their supernatural shit, where they keeps cutting back and forth between them, and then the Satanist chick finally keels over, like she's been fucking bludgeoned or something. That was a cool scene. I like that.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Alucarda.
I bought an Alucarda shirt because I love this movie.
I think Derek has one too, actually. I know, man. I was actually thinking.
Did you really? You bought an Alucarda shirt?
Yeah, I found one online for like $15.
Wait, have you seen this movie before?
Yeah, I've seen it before. This one is, yeah, this one's not a first time watch. The other one was.
I was about to say, damn, you became a fan quick.
Nah. Well, the really cool looking shirt I found online, but it's like a shop in Mexico, and it's like, it's like takes a month to ship. I was like, what? So then I found like a black and white one. It's basically, if you look at IMDb, it's basically that same graphic on the shirt, but just black and white, no red. But for $15, I was like, fuck it. Like, I like it, so I'll pick it up. And I'm happy with it. Of course, like most people don't know what the hell it is, but I'll tell anyone.
Yeah, just like the last movie, this one has a really good look. A lot of great locations shot in. It actually doesn't take place during the Inquisition, which is that's a very common thing with Nunsploitation films. There's a lot other ones that take place during like the 1600s, 1600s. This one actually takes place in 1860, and they even talk about that in the film too, which is kind of an interesting period, But yeah, the wardrobes and stuff are fantastic. Everything just looks great in this film, and just mixed with the imagery, man. I just think this is really well done for a film that's always been dubbed as an Exorcist ripoff and stuff. I think it's definitely one of the better ones out there. But like I said before, it's definitely its own thing. It's trying to say something about what's going on there, and and just religion in general versus evil and stuff. And I think it's really well done, man. I personally absolutely love this film. It's probably my favorite Nunsploitation film that I can think of right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I haven't seen as much as you, but out of the ones I've seen, this is probably my favorite.
I mean,
because so much happens in this movie, and it's an easy watch. It's it's not a long running time, and once it gets going, it just flies.
Like, Satanico Pandemonium is a pretty decent film, but it doesn't have the type of take-home scenes that this one has. I mean, this one's got a couple really, really memorable scenes in it that I think really stick out, just even in the 70s alone. pretty crazy stuff. Like we talked about the coffin scene, which is fantastic. The whole end of the film's fantastic. Like there's some good effects in here, you know, for such a low budget film. Great acting, and I just honestly think they did a really fantastic job with this. And the Alucarda character is fantastic too, man. It looks great. Yeah, they captured that quite well. I
would say this one does enough to actually like use like the word horror when describing it, where like other ones they kind of toe the line between like exploitation stuff, but to me this one makes a point to like make some actually pretty creepy and frightening stuff going on.
I mean, it's that whole demonic possession aspect of it too, right? I mean, I think anything to do with the devil and stuff is a little bit scary, so I always kind of dub it, but when you throw nuns in there, it just automatically becomes exploitation because they're fucking nuns. Right? So yeah. But Alucarda, man, I'm in at a 9. I love this movie. I think it's fantastic.
I didn't like it as much as you guys, I guess. I gave it a 7 as well.
Really? Same level as Satanico. Wow, crazy.
I actually like Satanico better, but I just feel like they're around the same quality.
Wow, crazy. I think this one's got a little bit better, way better done.
I think I just like the atmosphere and like how the chick was like, you know, killing people and shit. I don't know. I just like that. I really got into Satanico.
I just think
a little bit more.
I think people kind of misinterpreted this film too, because, you know, if you read through, I remember reading, I didn't read any reviews this time, but reading through things before that people had said about this film, they're like, oh man, it's just a bunch of fucking nonsensical dribble and blah blah blah. And I'm like, but what's not making sense here? Like, I don't think it's as crazy as people think, like, you know, on the sense of, you know, nonsense and having logic and stuff. I think this one actually has logic. I mean, putting yourself into the narrative that, you know, this shit actually does exist. You know, I think it's pretty well done for that type of narrative. So I don't really understand why it's so confusing to people. It's probably the weird orgy scene because people aren't thinking about it the way we are.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it throws people off. They're just like, wow, it just goes into this crazy ass nightmare, weird logic type shit. And I'm like, well, maybe a little bit, but not really. So I don't know. People seem to think this one's weird.
Mike?
I am giving it a 9 because for me this is the standard in Nunsploitation. Of course, like I mentioned, I haven't seen tons of them, but this
I'm a
is
Psycho
my
3
favorite
type of
one.
guy myself. Nunsploitation.
Nice. But yeah, I think, you know, this one has the complete package. It has all the symbolism there, but there's also just some downright scary stuff that's going on. I think the main actresses that play Justine and Alucarda are really good. I think, you know, once Justine's character exits and Alucarda really takes front and center, she just has a look for this movie. She has that right look where they didn't have to do much to her, you know, brush her hair down, and that's about all they had to do. Put her in a nun outfit and have her stare at the camera, and she has the look of like a freaking possessed nun. You notice, like, it's not like she had all this crazy makeup or anything. She just naturally has that scary look, and I like it. I like the aspect of the kind of the what's it, like the doctor guy coming in with the it's all nonsense, you guys are just committing murder,
making a believer out of them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love that aspect too.
Yeah, I like that. I like the way we get Lucifer's interpretation as kind of like, you know, the traveling gypsy that kind of lures them in other ways. And yeah, and I do, and of course, like I already mentioned, I like the kind of theme of the hell was I thinking? The sexual stuff, like the repression versus expression. That's always a big theme in these movies, and I think it's always interesting, especially for women, because, you know, I think just religion historically has been not kind to women expressing themselves sexually. So it's almost mandatory in these movies that there's going to be a scene, you know, somehow involved.
I don't know if it's necessarily women. I just think that society is more. It's more society. I don't think it's religion.
Well, I think culture. I mean, without turning this into a whole, I think like modernization of culture itself, yeah, has driven religion to change with the times. But I think, in some ways, religion has kind of it has kind of led from behind, where it's been up to society to kind of like force religion to modernize, as opposed to like back in the day when like we're going by like the literal words out of the book. It's like, well, something had to drive them to change that in people's minds. I don't think religion changed by itself. But hey, I don't want to. We're almost done. I don't want to open it up to that, that conversation. But, you know.
Yeah, one thing I even forgot to mention was fucking the fact that, you know, Alucarda and Justine are 15 years old, and we get to see them, you know, completely frontal nude throughout the film. It's that whole idea of like, these are 15-year-old. They're obviously not 15. They're totally way older than 15.
Yeah, I was about to say they don't look 15. I was about to be scared for a second, but
no.
What's the one movie from like 76 where there's like a 14-year-old like straight nude in it? It's a religious film too.
I've never seen it. I'll never watch that, JP. No, I don't know. I have no idea.
No, we watched it for 76. Remember
the possession of Joel Delaney.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's this really crazy fucking scene in this movie where this boy is actually 13 years old.
No. It's a girl.
What's the country of origin of that movie?
Maybe there was two movies, because
like England or something.
Oh no, the possession of Joel Delaney was there's literally a 13-year-old boy in that movie, and they have a full frontal shot of him, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, that's crazy shit, dude. Like 13 in reality, I was like, whoa, that's something you can't do anymore.
I know.
We ran into a lot of films like that in the 70s, like what the Peepers saw and shit. There's themes in that film you'd never see ever again in film.
Thor Birch was like 16 in American Beauty.
Yeah, right? Yeah. But yeah,
they just said they had to get the parents' permission.
Yeah, like going back to this, we've discussed this before, but we know that these actors are not 15, but they're being portrayed as 15-year-olds, and they're like fucking full frontal. It's like, holy shit, dude. You know, it's just that whole weird notion of, oh yeah, they're 15. Like, is it like the conversation that stems from that is like fucking never.
Was it To the Devil a Daughter?
Oh no, yeah, To the Devil a Daughter. Yeah, the Hammer film. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew it was. Yeah, Hammer. Isn't that girl like 14 or 15 or something in there?
She was young too.
Yeah. I mean, I know that. Yeah, they're playing 15-year-olds in this, but I feel like the nudity and like this, especially this movie, the way it's handled, it's not really there to like tantalize. It's more symbolism than like.
Well, I could care less if they're playing a 15-year-old or whatever.
Yeah. That's definitely different.
No, for sure. I'm just saying, but like, just in your own, like in your mind, you know, just putting that thought that, oh, these are 15-year-olds. You know, sometimes I get a little bit uncomfortable, even though I know that they're quite clearly not 15 years old. I'm like, fuck, it's still the ideas there, right? You know,
I don't know. I think it's funny.
I don't know.
It doesn't.
I honestly, like, that's one thing that does make me uncomfortable sometimes.
Like, it doesn't. I can't like put my mindset to where I think it's like. I can't like put it to where I would think it was real or something. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
but the other one, that one really disturbed me. The real one, I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, there's like two of them. The Joel Delaney one, man, got me though the most, because I mean, it's like a 13-year-old boy. It's just something you never see, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's dealing with
nudity.
Yeah, because like I've seen 15-year-old girls naked before, but I've never seen a young. Well,
you should probably add when you were 15. Because if you're looking at 15-year-old girls when you're fucking 30, it's like, Jesus Christ, dude.
Yeah, when I was 15, I mean, yes.
I've seen a lot of 15-year-old girls naked, too, when I was 15. Come on. Fuck, that's funny.
I wouldn't say a lot, but...
Who, you or me?
Me.
Mike, what was your rating on that?
9.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You said 9. That's right. Cool.
We're going to go to hell for all these pedophile jokes.
What did Jeremy give this one? Did we already say that?
7.5.
Oh, we gave it higher.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's 5.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because the other one was a 5. Okay. Yeah, well, I mean, that's pretty much where I expected him to come in. Because he did say that he liked it, so I was like, oh, crazy. Yeah, because it was all artsy and shit. I don't know. But yeah. That is going to conclude episode, 164 here on the 22 Shots of Moods and Horror. Mike, thank you for coming back onto the show. And I guess we will see you next week. Not on the next show too. That's right. Yeah, so you're totally on the next show too. But you might as well just start.
Am I? What the hell are you guys doing for the next one?
He's on the next episode.
I know I signed up for like one of the Italian month ones, but
next episode's Halloween.
The next show is the Halloween one.
Oh yeah, Jeremy said he can't do next week, huh?
Did he?
Yeah, I thought so. Remember? That's why you said you were going to look for a guest or something.
That's right. Yeah. So, no, Mike, I told you. Because remember we were discussing the poll.
Why don't you guys just cancel it so you can watch Joe Bob? Because that's next Friday, isn't it?
Well, we got to record the Halloween show or else we're just not going to record it then.
Yeah.
But that was remember we were talking about the poll, and I was like, fuck, man, you voted for Hell House. And I'm like, you do realize that this poll is for voting for what we're going to be watching. I don't even know what's in the lead anymore, but...
I think it's Hell House.
I really...
I guess we're doing Hell House since it's...
I'm kind of disappointed with that because I just watched all three like fucking 2 weeks ago. Not even thinking that would ever be a thing. Ugh. Really didn't want to have to do that again. And I'm not saying the movies are bad or anything. I just watched them.
Yeah,
fuck.
Didn't you like marathon all three back to back?
Well, because the third one came out, and I was like, well, I can't watch the third one without watching the first two, and you really can't because it's one fucking movie. So, yeah, it's actually got really hard, concrete continuity, which is kind of cool. I mean, it'll make for an interesting conversation. But so that's next Friday.
Cool.
Yep. So, Mike, you're on that one.
Okay.
Are you able to do it or not?
I think so because
if you're not, that's fine. We can always.
Oh, you got to watch Donnie Darko too.
Oh, that was a fucking bonus film. Yeah, see, it's a problem with fucking Patreon picks. Is like we're asking way too much from our guests, man. It's like you want to watch this and this. Like Mike's like, who the fuck did Spider Patreon? I was like, I know.
No, technically they don't have to. I mean, they could chill for like 10 minutes while we talk about it.
I should be able to because other than a fresh.
Plus, who doesn't want to watch Donnie Darko? Come on.
Yeah, we're doing something for my show Sunday, and we're doing fresh cuts Monday because Venom has like a packed week. So other than that, I don't think I have anything to do next week until a week from this Sunday. So I should be pretty open. So yeah, I mean, I'll keep you guys updated, but I should be able to watch everything.
Alrighty, cool. JP, you want to take us out of here?
Yep. So we will be back next week with the Halloween extravaganza where we're doing Hell House LLC 1 through 3. This is like our first time doing a franchise-esque Halloween show since Night of the Demons. So hopefully it doesn't turn into a shit show.
That show wasn't that bad.
Apparently not. Everybody says they like it.
I know, that's why I'm saying that. I don't even remember it, but
I don't at this point. I remember that I didn't like it, but that's all I remember. I don't remember why. I think it was probably behind the scenes stuff. Maybe Jeremy was annoying or something. That's usually what it was.
I think some of it actually had to do with that, but I think also you were like dead fucking tired when we were recording, and it just was not.
Oh, like tonight.
Yeah. Did you hate this show?
No, I didn't hate this show. I like this show. I'm like super tired though. I do apologize. And also, check us out on all the cool places, the new Flick Chat thing. We have Twitter, 22 Shots Podcast. Facebook group is always fun. 22 Shots Podcast for that as well. And then check out Mike's No More Room in Hell. Got some stuff coming up. And then also, Nunsploitation is pretty cool. I like it.
We're definitely doing a volume 2 in the future. We probably should do the Devils.
Yeah,
that's a good one. So, all right. Well, that is going to conclude everything. Again, Mikey, thanks for coming on. If we see you next week, hopefully. And
sounds good.
Yeah, that is going to conclude.
Thanks for having me.
Let's get the fuck out of here. Deuces.
Peace.
Later.
Fuck you. Fuck fuck you, you're cool, and fuck you, I'm out.